From an old-fashioned speaker mounted on the wall, a woman's voice utterly devoid of emotion announced, Ark Era 40, the 76th Resource Allocation Adjustment. Residents of Sector E may collect 80 grams of basic nutrient paste and 500 milliliters of purified drinking water daily using their identity chips. Agonizing pain, like a rusty blunt blade sawing back and forth across a nerve. Lin Yu snapped his eyes open, but instead of the familiar military lab, he saw a cramped, dark iron sheet room. At his wrist, a wound so deep the bone was visible was gushing warm, sticky blood, a shocking sight. Before he could comprehend the situation, a violent surge of foreign memories shattered his reason. Ark Era 40, humanity's last wandering starship. The original Lin Yu, 18 years old, an ant at the bottom of Sector E. Because he received a one-way ticket to hell, the Pioneer conscription order. In utter despair, he slit his artery with a sharpened piece of metal. Bang! A deafening crash. The door, cobbled together from two pieces of scrap metal, was kicked in with brutal force. Rust flakes showered down, dancing in the air. A fat foot in a federal uniform stomped in. The newcomer was greasy-faced, his belly straining his buttons to the breaking point. Li Wenbo, the civil affairs officer of Sector E. Damn, you actually dare to die. Li Wenbo glanced at the pool of blood, showing no panic. Instead, he pinched his nose and grinned, revealing a set of yellow, smoke-stained, rotten teeth. Lin Yu, stop pretending to be dead. As long as you have one breath left, you'll crawl to the civil affairs office to sign. He kicked the metal pieces aside like they were human trash. Your bride is waiting. You are the big celebrity in Sector E today. Bride. Lin Yu was tearing off his shirt hem to tighten the wound and stop the bleeding. His movements suddenly froze. In his mind, two blood-red documents surfaced like death warrants. Compulsory conscription order assigned to the Pioneer Corps, departing in 1 week for the G73 heavy rock exoplanet. The mortality rate was said to exceed 90. Compulsory spouse matching document, match partner. Su Mushiwa. That beautiful woman who often came to Sector E for free medical consultations. That pristine white lab coat, as cold and pure as snow, the untouchable white moonlight, revered by countless bottom-dwelling men. Matching an unattainable goddess to a dead man about to be sent as cannon fodder. What? Too stunned to be happy. Li Wenbo lost patience. He grabbed Lin Yu's bloody collar and dragged his frail body like a dead dog, yanking him outward. Let's go. Let you have some glory before you die. This is the Federation's immense grace. Civil Affairs Registration Office, Sector E. It looked like a giant rusty can reeking of sweat and the sour decay of cheap nutrient paste. When Lin Yu was dragged in, the noisy hall fell into dead silence, then erupted into a hair-raising commotion. Countless eyes were locked onto him. Envy, greed, schadenfreude, the predatory gleam of beasts spotting prey. Take a look, everyone. This is the unlucky bastard who drew the death lot, Lin Yu. Li Wenbo held the marriage notice high, waving it like a flag of victory, his voice shrill and piercing with excitement. Who did the Federation system match him with? The goddess Su Mushiwa, the cleanest, most beautiful flower you've ever seen in your life. He suddenly slapped Lin Yu on the back of the head, spittle spraying all over his face. Now, this flower is going to be planted in that pile of mud. Li Wenbo drew out his words, his face twisted with perverse glee. And it's a pile of mud that will be shoveled off to G73 as extraterrestrial fertilizer in 7 days. Ha ha ha. Bang. The crowd completely exploded. Damn. Why him? That scrawny monkey. Shit. How come I don't have this luck? I'd trade 10 years of my life for 1 night with her. Kill him. He's gonna die outside anyway, so let's kill him now and let Dr. Su be rematched. Several robust young men made no effort to hide the murder in their eyes, drawing their fingers across their throats at Lin Yu. Li Wenbo was relishing his control of the situation. He pushed through the crowd, leaning his oily big face right up to Lin Yu's, and his thick palm slapped Lin Yu's pale cheek in a highly insulting manner. Slap, slap, slap. The sound was crisp, the injury minor, but the insult immense. He lowered his voice, hissing venomously in a tone only the two could hear. Kid, I'll tell you the truth. Su Mushu, I had everything arranged to match her as my concubine. If it weren't for a little problem with her gene-matching report ruining my plans, trash, like you wouldn't even be worthy of smelling her fart. Greed practically spilled from Li Wenbo's eyes like a hyena barking at food it couldn't reach. But anyway, you'll be dead in a week. These few days, consider it the Federation's last meal for the condemned. When you're dead, this widow's flavor might be even more tender. After speaking, he slammed a thick archive bag hard into Lin Yu's face. The sharp corners sliced across the skin, leaving a stinging blood mark. Take it. The person will be delivered to your doghouse tonight. Have a good enjoyment. Ha ha. The archive bag hit the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. Around him, a tidal wave of laughter erupted, every laugh a sharp knife, trying to strip away the last shred of the young man's dignity. Humiliation, a dead and despair. Lin Yu lowered his head, his bangs covering his eyes. His fingernails dug deep into his palms, blood dripping through his fingers. Resist. How? This was a world that devoured people. He was now nothing but a weak, dizzy, unarmed piece of cannon fodder, not even owning his own life. The remnants of the original owner's despair surged like a tide, threatening to drown his reason. But the next second, the absolute calm of a top-tier engineer took over the body. Fear. Anger. No, these were useless emotional garbage. As long as he was still breathing, there was no dead end in this world that couldn't be untied, just as his reason was about to overwhelm his emotion. BZZT. Logical paradox detected. Directive 1 individual elimination compulsory conscription equals certain death. Directive 2 species continuation compulsory high priority marriage. Conflict confirmed. Authority forcibly escalated. Activating highest sequence. Civilization seed system online. An icy mechanical voice exploded in his mind. Newbie mission released complete the great harmony of life with your legal spouse Su Mushiwa and ensure her successful conception. Mission rewards 1. Targeted draw obtain 1 chance to draw from a sci-fi film world. 2. Technology blueprint. The system will provide 3 core technologies from that world. The user may choose one of 3 to obtain the complete manufacturing blueprint. 3. Succession reward. Upon the successful birth of offspring, you may again receive 1 core technology from the same world. First draw, no restrictions. User can specify any sci-fi film world at will. Boom. Lin Yu suddenly lifted his head. Deep within his previously dead pupils, it was as if a prairie wildfire had been ignited. Specify at will. Core technology, choose 1 of 3. This wasn't just a golden finger, this was a ladder to the throne placed right at his feet. With those technologies, not to mention this petty Sector E civil officer, even the Federation High Command controlling the Ark would be nothing but a bunch of lambs to slaughter. Li Wenba's greasy face was still wagging before him, and the crowd's jeers remained harsh. But in Lin Yu's eyes, everything had changed. This was no longer a death trap. It was a hunting ground teeming with data and resources waiting for him to dismantle, reorganize, and conquer. Inside the Civil Affairs Bureau hall, waves of jeering laughter crashed against Lin Yu's eardrums. Facing Li Wenba's greasy, twisted face and the countless eyes waiting to see him weep, Lin Yu neither roared in fury nor knelt for mercy. Expressionless, he simply bent down, picked up the dust-covered file from the dirty floor, and gently brushed off the "Had your laugh." He raised his eyelids. Those eyes, once dead and murky, now resembled 2 bottomless dry wells, so cold they made one's heart tremble. Li Wenba's laughter was abruptly cut off like a duck whose neck had been wrung. He instinctively stepped back, feeling an inexplicable chill down his spine. This kid's look, he's not thinking of taking me down with him. Excuse me. Lin Yu didn't spare him another glance. Clutching the file, he pushed past a few blockers and strode straight out the door. The streets of District E were narrow and filthy. Overhead streetlights flickered with faulty sparks. Beside him, gutters flowed with unknown liquids. The air was thick with the smell of oil, mold, and despair. Dragging his blood-depleted body, Lin Yu mechanically traversed this slum. Around him were ragged residents. In the distance, towering buildings symbolized the privileged upper districts. His steps remained steady throughout. The mechanical voice in his mind echoed. A mad plan was rapidly taking shape. Back in his shack, converted from a shipping container, he turned the lock with a click. All pretense dropped at that moment. Huh. Lin Yu leaned against the cold iron door, gasping for air. This was not fear, it was the thrill of a gambler who in a losing hand had drawn the ultimate trump card. On his retina, the virtual interface glowed faintly. Newbie mission achieve, life harmony, with legal spouse Su Mushiwa, and successfully impregnate her. Mission reward preview: Iron Man's Ark Reactor terminators liquid metal 3 body problems, strong interaction water, droplet 2-dimensional foil. Exchange reproduction for miracles. Lin Yu stared at those icons, a wolfish green light flickering in his eyes. This was no mere system. This was a scepter to defy fate and rebuild civilization. Yet the ecstasy lasted only 3 seconds before he forcibly quelled it. He opened his eyes, his gaze turning cold again. He knew better than anyone. Between blueprints and real objects lay a chasm called industrial foundation. Without high-precision machine tools, how could he build the core of an arc reactor? Without a special smelting furnace, how could he forge the alloy skeleton of AT-800? In this Ark's bottom tier, where even high-purity copper wire was a scarce commodity, trying to create miracles, that was a pipe dream. Directed extraction. Lin Yu muttered, his fingers unconsciously tracing a rusted panel on the door. It seems the choice of the first world is absolutely critical. What was critical? Not weapons, not engines. It was the mother machine that could achieve, from 0 to 1, fundamental materials science energy. His train of thought cleared instantly. But all of this had an unavoidable prerequisite. The soon-to-arrive legal spouse Su Mushiwa. Lin Yu snapped, his eyes open, only wolfish light remaining in his gaze. Conquer her, and there would be a future. Night deepened. The simulated sky inside the Ark extinguished, and heavy military boots echoed in the corridor. Each step seemed to step on the heart. Bang, bang. The iron door shuddered, rust, dust falling. Open up. Delivery. Lin Yu pulled the door open. Two impatient federal guards stood outside, behind them a woman, Su Mushua, a faded white dress, a worn suitcase with broken corners. She hung her head like a cat drenched in a rainstorm, a discarded commodity. Sign here. Delivery complete. The guard shoved the electronic pad into Lin Yu's face, his eyes leering into the shack. Take it easy. Don't die on that bed before you even get to Chongyan Star. With jeers, the guards left. The door slammed shut. The cramped space became suffocating, filled with unbearable silence and deadliness. Su Mushua didn't move nor look at Lin Yu. He quickly scanned the hovel, from the dripping pipe to the mottled floor, finally resting on the worn board bed in the corner. Finally, she stiffly walked to a corner, pulled a neatly folded paper from her pocket, her hand trembling slightly. Sign it. Her voice was cold, yet feigned bravado. Lin Yu took it. Prenuptial Agreement 1. Both parties will only fulfill the federal mandatory task, maintain a nominal marital relationship, and not interfere with each other. 2. The room will be divided by a midline, no crossing or physical contact. 3. The agreement terminates upon the death of either party. At the signature was Su Mushua. The handwriting was elegant and forceful. Her last shred of dignity. Su Mushua raised her head, her hollow eyes fixed on Lin Yu like a cornered kitten, bristling, but powerless. Lin Yu looked at the paper and suddenly laughed. It was the sneer of an engineer upon seeing an erroneous blueprint. Rip! A crisp, tearing sound exploded in the silence. Su Muxua's pupils shrank, a flush of shame rising on her pale face. What are you doing? That's mine. Rip! Rip! Lin Yu expressionlessly tore the paper into shreds and tossed them into the air like mocking snow. He stepped forward. The sound of his foot on the concrete felt like it stomped on Su Muxua's heart. Dr. Su, your boundaries are a joke. He closed in, his tall shadow enveloping her. First, legally, you're already my wife. If I forced you now, do you think those two guards would save you or come in and join? Su Mushua turned deathly pale, instinctively stepping back until her back hit the cold wall. Second, a territorial line. Lin Yu pointed a finger, drawing an imaginary line in the air, his eyes mocking. Today at the Civil Affairs office, dozens of eyes were jealous enough to want to kill me. If I nodded, even for one night's use, those starving wolves would tear this door down. Your line. Who can it stop? Su Mushua trembled all over her, breathing rapid, the pretense in her eyes crumbling piece by piece. Lin Yu propped one hand against the wall beside her ear, his nose almost touching her forehead, his voice low like a demon's whisper. Third, the stupidest part. Termination upon death. I'm going to Chongyan Star in a week. Mortality rate 90. He'll likely die. But if I die, do you think you'll— Lin Yu stared into her terrified eyes, each word measured and piercing. The system will instantly match you to the next lucky guy. You'll be passed like a prize from man to man, even to that perverted pig Li Wenba. Until you go mad or rot. That is your dark future. Nothing but endless war. Su Muxua's legs finally gave out, and she slid down the wall, collapsing on the floor. Her last psychological defense had been cut open with a cold scalpel. He had precisely dissected the lies she used to numb herself, exposing the bloody truth beneath. Su Mushua trembled violently, her back pressed against the cold wall, nowhere to retreat. Seeing her collapse, Lin Yu's eyes showed no mercy, only extreme calm. He crouched, leveling his gaze with hers, then reached out and pinched her chin, forcing her to look at him. So put away your childish games. We are not husband and wife, nor roommates. From the moment the match took effect, we are two grasshoppers tied to the same rope. Lin Yu's voice was not that of a new husband, but a commanding officer issuing orders. Now, Ms. Su, I want to discuss a project with you. Project name: Survive. I am the project manager responsible for handling all external threats and killing anyone who wants to touch you. His gaze swept over her flat abdomen, filled with unyielding dominance. And you are the sole technical partner of this project. I need your cooperation to accomplish the crucial core technology output. He gave a hunter's smile, his voice low, full of seduction and danger. To avoid rotting in the mud, Miss Su, you wouldn't refuse to invest, would you? Survive. Su Mushua let out a bitter laugh, as if she had heard the most absurd joke, her voice taut, like a string about to snap. Lin Yu, do you think I willingly entered this damned matching system? She jerked her head up, her eyes brimming with shattered despair. My parents were the Federation's chief scientists sent to an alien planet 3 years ago. Not even their remains were found. Not only did the Federation deny us compensation, they ruled that my parents had damaged valuable research equipment. 5 million credits. A daughter must pay her father's debts. Su Mushua bit her lip so hard it bled. If I hadn't sold myself into this system, I'd be sent to the black mines as a whore. Did I have a choice? The air fell dead silent. Faced with the woman's breakdown, Lin Yu's face remained utterly unruffled, as cold and precise as a finely tuned machine. Done with your sob story? Lin Yu stepped closer, his gaze icy. But in District E, playing the victim is the cheapest trick, and your situation is worse than you think. Su Mushua froze. Do you think you were randomly matched to me? A mocking smirk curled at the corner of Lin Yu's lips, his voice slicing through the truth like a scalpel. That perverted pig Li Wenbo had already marked you as his private plaything. He repeated every vile word Li Wenbo had spewed at the Civil Affairs Office verbatim. If your genetic report hadn't had a little glitch that ruined his plans tonight, you wouldn't be lying on my hard cot. Lin Yu paused, leaning close to her ear, his voice a demon's whisper. But under that fat pig's sweaty, greasy belly. Boom. Su Mux's pupils constricted, her stomach churning violently. So that was it. No wonder the Civil Affairs officer had looked at her with such sickening eyes, like she was a piece of meat temporarily stored elsewhere. So, Miss Su. Lin Yu twisted the knife, each word a dagger to the heart. Once I'm dead in 7 days, Li Wenbo has 1,000 ways to erase that little glitch, and then. Imagine those yellow teeth gnawing on your neck. Stop. Su Muxue screamed, trembling violently, her face as pale as paper. Ahead loomed a week-long death countdown. Behind lurked a perverted monster waiting to feast on her ruin. It was a dead end. But Su Muxue looked at the man before her. Though thin and a mere cannon fodder, his eyes held no lechery. Only a wolf-like ferocity and an extreme will to survive. To be ravaged to death by a fat pig, or to bet on this lone wolf. This choice needed no deliberation. Huff. Su Muxue let out a long, heavy breath, the fear in her eyes shattering piece by piece, replaced by a gambler's desperate resolve. Rather than be defiled by a disgusting pig like Li Wenbo, it was better to stake everything on this madman. At least his eyes held no lust, only an unyielding thirst for survival. Her hands, which had been clutching her collar, slowly loosened. Before Lin Yu, her trembling fingers undid her snow-white collarbone was exposed to the murky air, blushing with shame. Director Lin. She changed her address, her voice trembling, but carrying a desperate grit. I hope your skills are as good as your... Don't let me regret placing this bet. Lin Yu smiled. Clever and sensible. He didn't need a whimpering burden, he needed a smart partner who knew her place. Don't worry. Lin Yu moved in, wrapping an arm around her slender waist, roughly pulling her toward the creaky. The masculine aura enveloped her instantly. Su Muxue instinctively wanted to close her eyes, turn off the light, escape this absurd scene. Slap. Lin Yu caught her hand, reaching for the switch, and pinned it above her head. What I pursue is always precision and efficiency. Leave the light on. I need to watch the data. Creak. The old bed frame groaned under the strain, then was drowned out by the roar of engines outside the window. The next morning dawned. Inside the dim tin room, the air still clung to the lingering scent of last night's frenzy and blood. Huff. Lin Yu's eyes snapped open. He tried to sit up, but felt as if his soul was about to drift out of this broken shell. Agonizing pain. Not only had the deep gash on his wrist reopened, but every muscle in his body felt torn. Last night's forced procreation, done for the sake of survival, had drained the last reserves of this already. He turned his head and glanced beside him. Su Muxue was curled up in the corner, wrapped in a tattered sheet, her exposed shoulders covered in bruises. She slept deeply, her brows furrowed, tear streaks still on her face like a stray cat battered by a storm. Lin Yu averted his gaze and tried to raise his hand, only to find his fingers twitching uncontrollably. His vision blurred, his heart pounded like a leaky bellows, each beat accompanied by a sharp stab. Before he could even obtain the technology, would he die in bed? Just as his consciousness was about to sink into darkness, that cold mechanical voice, laced with urgent alarm, exploded in his mind. Beep. Warning. Host's vital signs have dropped below critical threshold. Procreation assessment completed. Pregnancy test, no signs of pregnancy detected, probability 0.01. Task status incomplete. Warning. Host is critically weak and nearing death. Once the host dies, the spark of civilization will be extinguished. Emergency protocol initiated. Distributing novice survival pack to sustain host's life. Buzz. In the suffocating grip of death, Lin Yu's dull pupils suddenly contracted. He had calculated correctly. To preserve the spark, the system would never let its vessel die. Though he hadn't obtained the tech blueprints, this life-saving gift came just in time. On his retina, several lines of blue data scrolled wildly, and 3 items materialized, floating silently in virtual space. Super Soldier Serum, optimized version sourced from a high-dimensional war world of the tech side. One-time gene reshaping to achieve peak species potential. Note the transformation process requires extremely high energy. Insufficient energy will directly drain the host's life force. High-energy compressed nutrient block X2, military-grade strategic supplies. Each block contains enough calories to sustain an adult male for half a month of high-intensity combat. Cough, cough. Lin Yu coughed up a mouthful of blood, but his eyes gleamed with a wolfish green light. With the last of his strength, he focused his will. A heavy foil packet and a metallic syringe glowing with blue light materialized in his hand. Without hesitation, he tore open the wrapper of one nutrient block. A rich, dizzying aroma instantly gulp. Lin Yu devoured the brown paste in 2 or 3 bites like a starving ghost. A terrifying wave of heat exploded in his stomach like swallowing a miniature sun. The violent energy rushed through his limbs, turning his ice-cold body instantly scorching. Now, seizing the surge of energy, Lin Yu grabbed the blue syringe and plunged it into his vein already riddled with needle marks. His thumb pressed down, emptying the liquid. Ugh! A muffled groan forcibly suppressed in his throat sounded especially eerie in the dead morning. Lin Yu's body arched like a shrimp, veins bulging like black snakes writhing wildly. Pain. Such excruciating pain. If the previous pain was like a dull knife cutting flesh, this was like grinding his bones to dust. What are you doing? Su Mushua, jolted awake by the terrifying commotion, sat up abruptly. The sight before her made her clap a hand over her mouth, her pupils trembling violently. Lin Yu's body was bright red with countless things squirming under his skin, muscle fibers tearing and reforming wildly. His bones emitted a teeth-grinding series of cracks, and his once thin, withered frame visibly began to fill out and swell. Lin Yu, what's wrong with you? Su Mux's face went pale with fear, instinctively reaching out to help. Don't touch me. Lin Yu gritted out the words, sweat and blood instantly soaking the sheets. The high-energy nutrient block he had just eaten was now being devoured by his body like fuel. Without that foundation, the serum would have drained him dry. The transformation lasted a full 10 minutes. Every second was a hellish ordeal. Finally, Lin Yu's convulsions gradually subsided. He gasped for air, slowly sitting upright on the bed. With his movement, his joints cracked like a string of firecrackers. Crackle pop. Su Mushua stared in utter shock. The Lin Yu before her bore no trace of his former frail. Though his build wasn't grotesquely bulky, every muscle was sharply defined, as solid as forged steel. His skin took on a healthy bronze hue, his once pale face now chiseled and angular, his gaze so sharp it was hard to meet. It was like a complete transformation. Huff. Lin Yu clenched his fist, feeling the surging power within, a satisfied smirk curling at his lips. This was the feeling of power. But he soon frowned. Hunger. An extreme hunger struck instantly, his stomach cramping violently. Even after eating a block meant to last half a month, it had been consumed by the serum's transformation. He flipped his hand and produced the second nutrient block. With a slight press of his fingers, the paste block broke easily in two. He stuffed half into his mouth, swallowing it in a few bites, barely quelling the burning hunger. Then, holding the remaining half, he offered it to the stunned Su Mushua. Eat. His voice was low and firm, carrying an unyielding authority. Su Mushua stared blankly at the brown square near her mouth, then at Lin Yu's deep eyes. This is... Eat it if you don't want to die. Lin Yu shoved it into her hand. You were exhausted last night too. This stuff can save your life. Su Mushua took a small bite. Just one bite, and an indescribable warmth dispelled the cold and ache in her body. Her eyes widened in shock. As a doctor, she knew exactly what such high-energy food meant. In District E, this tiny piece could even buy a life. And he shared it with her. Lin Yu, who exactly are you? Su Mux's gaze was complex. The humiliation and fear of last night somehow faded a little because of this half-block of nutrient paste. Lin Yu didn't explain. After eating, his strength quickly returned. He looked at Su Mushua again, his eyes sweeping over her smooth, flat belly, his brow furrowing slightly. System prompt not pregnant. The task wasn't complete, so he wouldn't get the black tech he needed, drastically reducing his survival chances at G73. Dr. Su. Lin Yu suddenly moved, embracing one hand against the wall, trapping Su Mushua in his shadow. An intense masculine scent mixed with a faint trace of blood hit her. Are you full? Su Mux's heart raced under his predatory gaze, and she instinctively shrank back. I am full. Good, since you're full. Lin Yu's eyes sharpened, and he said with utter seriousness, last night's data didn't meet the standards. To survive, we need to hurry up and do a second recording. What? Su Mux's eyes widened, a flush of crimson spreading across her cheeks, a mix of shame and fury. Are you insane? It's broad daylight. So what if it's daytime? This is a scientific experiment. Precision allows no sloppiness. Lin Yu began to move. Just then, bang, bang, bang. The door, made of scrap metal, was pounded with a thunderous roar, sending dust raining down. Open up. All new recruits in District E assemble immediately. A gruff shout accompanied by the thud of a rifle butt against the door shattered the intimacy inside. Lin Yu froze, a flash of savage coldness in his eyes. Damn it. Of all times, why now? Lin Yu, don't play dead. You've got 3 minutes. The guard outside barked impatiently. This is your last week of closed training and study before heading to the alien planet. Get out here if you don't want to be executed on the spot. Closed training. A week. Lin Yu's brow furrowed deeply. It meant he'd be isolated for the next 7 days, forcing the conception plan to be interrupted. And after 7 days, they'd board the ship for the alien planet. Looks like he'll have to find a way during training. Lin Yu shot a regretful glance at Su Mushua, rolled off the bed, and quickly pulled on his shabby coat. At the door, he paused and turned back to the woman curled up on the bed. Su Mushua now clutched the half-eaten nutrient block tightly in her hand, her eyes filled with confusion and unease. Remember what I said? Lin Yu pointed at his head, his voice as cold as a blade, carrying a powerful confidence that calmed Su Mushua. If anyone dares to touch you these 7 days, tell them Lin Yu isn't dead yet. Wait for me to come back. With that, he closed the iron door and walked out without looking back. In the dim room, Su Mushua watched his tall figure disappear, her heart skipping a beat. Was this man really just a low-level cannon fodder from District E? Outside, the wind was biting cold. Li Wenbo stood by the troop transport, a cigarette between his fingers. When he saw Lin Yu emerge, his beady eyes narrowed into slits. Oh, still alive and kicking in bed. Li Wenbo blew out a smoke ring, his venomous gaze sweeping over Lin Yu's conspicuously taller, more robust frame, a vague unease stirring in his gut. This kid, how had he changed so much overnight? Impossible, it must be my imagination. The troop transport ground to a halt before a colossal ruin. As all the recruits filed inside, a thunderous boom echoed. The massive rusted armored gate slammed shut, sealing the E-Zone ruin camp into an iron coffin. No daylight penetrated here, only the pervasive stench of rust and despair. I am Zhao Gang, captain of E-13 squad, a voice rasped, as dry as sandpaper scraping against stone. The one-armed man stood on a high vantage point. A vicious scar nearly cleaved his face in two, and his single eye gleamed with the cold indifference of one who looked upon the dead. With a clatter, he kicked over an iron basket, sending dozens of heavy-weighted vests tumbling across the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. Put them on. 30 kilos. Without a word of preamble, Zhao Gang pointed a finger at the rubble-strewn track, bristling with sharp rebar. Run until I tell you to stop. Or run until you drop dead. The recruits' faces turned ashen. These refugees from Zone E who had long subsisted on low-grade nutrient paste, running 30 kilos through this ruin. It was no different from a summary execution. Run. The bellowing command exploded, forcing the group into a reluctant, shuffling motion. In less than 10 minutes, the camp was filled with the sound of lungs heaving like bellows. With a heavy thud, a frail young man stumbled and crashed into a pile of jagged stones. A sharp piece of metal slashed a deep gash across his palm, and blood instantly stained the ground. Help, please. The young man whimpered, his body convulsing in agony, tears and snot streaming down his face. Zhao Gang's combat boots crunched over the rubble as he approached. He looked down with the same regard one might give a piece of spoiled meat. Can't get up, Captain. My hand. Then lie there and die. Zhao Gang turned away coldly. G-73 has no use for trash. Dying here saves the Federation a set of protective gear. A dead silence fell over the entire scene. A chill crawled up everyone's spine, straight to the crown of their heads. Gritting their teeth, they dragged their leaden legs and forced themselves to move again. There was only one exception. Lin Yu, mingling in the middle of the pack, bore the 30-kilo weight, as if it were merely a shirt draped over his shoulders. His heart, reshaped by the super serum, pulsed with a slow, powerful rhythm. Thump thump. Each beat channeled boundless strength to every limb and fiber of his being. He even had to consciously control his breathing, feigning heavy pants to avoid appearing like a monster. Just then, a pungent mix of cheap perfume and tobacco smoke wafted over. That bloated figure reappeared. Li Wenbo, pinching his nose, swaggered into the training ground as if visiting a brothel. His beady little eyes precisely locked onto Lin Yu amidst the crowd. He sidled up to Zhao Gang, proffering a cigarette, a luxury in this era. Captain Zhao, hard at work. Li Wenbo lowered his voice, a greasy, sinister grin plastered on his face. That kid Lin Yu. Some people up top don't want him having an easy time of it. He blew out a smoke ring, his eyes venomous. Best if he has an accident during training. Break an arm or a leg, but don't kill him. If anything comes of it, I'll take the heat. Lin Yu's ears twitched. From over a dozen meters away, his enhanced hearing captured every single word. He looked up and clearly caught a flicker of disgust that flashed through Zhao Gang's single eye before vanishing. Finally, Zhao Gang gave an almost imperceptible nod. The fat on Li Wenbo's face piled up as he flashed a satisfied grin, then turned and left. Lin Yu lowered his gaze, his pupils contracting slightly as a murderous glint flashed within. Want to cripple me? Li Wenbo, you're playing a dangerous game. Be careful you don't end up covered in your own blood. At lunch, they were given a palm-sized dark brown compressed biscuit. It was rock-hard, laced with the broken legs of unknown insects, and gave off an indescribably foul odor. All around him were sounds of retching, but Lin Yu's face remained expressionless. He took bite after bite, mechanically swallowing this so-called food. It was a specially formulated high-protein, high-fat energy block, the very foundation of their training. By afternoon, the wind had grown colder. Zhao Gang stood before the formation, a dangerous light flickering in his single eye. He walked straight to a corner and with one hand hoisted another 30-kilo weighted vest. In that moment, everyone sensed what was coming. With a bang, the vest was slammed onto the ground at Lin Yu's feet, sending up a ring of dust. Yours, Zhao Gang said, his voice like ice. The crowd erupted. Another 30 kilos. A total of 60. This wasn't training, this was a deliberate attempt to crush a man into pulp. Captain, this could kill someone. A veteran with a simple, honest face couldn't bear to watch and spoke up, his voice trembling. He's still a rookie. Zhao Gang whipped his head around, his single eye boring into the veteran, his killing intent sharp as a blade. Got nothing better to do. Maybe you'd like to wear it for him. The veteran's face turned deathly pale. His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard, finally lowering his head in terror. No one dared to speak another word. All eyes were fixed on Lin Yu. Some filled with pity, some with schadenfreude, but most looked at him as if he were already a dead man. Li Wenbo stood in the distance, arms thick with fat crossed over his chest, his mouth stretched into a grin that nearly reached his ears. But Lin Yu merely bent down calmly. He picked it up, put it on, and fastened the locks. His movements were fluid and practiced. Click. As the buckles engaged, the 60-kilo weight bore down on him with a resounding thud. Lin Yu's frame sank slightly, the muscles in his legs suddenly coiling tight. The muddy ground beneath his feet was actually compressed into 2 shallow footprints. The next second he straightened, his spine standing as straight and sharp as a javelin piercing the heavens. He lifted his head, meeting Zhao Gang's gaze, a wild, maddening grin curling at the corner of his mouth. Can we start now? A sharp twitch pulled at the corner of Zhao Gang's eye. A grim, appreciative smile spread across his face. Good. A tough one. This afternoon's lesson, hand-to-hand combat. Zhao Gang pointed his lone arm at Lin Yu. You'll be my sparring partner. A collective gasp of horror rippled through the recruits. Spar with a battle-hardened killer veteran while carrying 60 kilos of weight. This wasn't murder anymore. This was slaughter. He was going to beat him into a bloody pulp in front of everyone. Zhao Gang flexed his remaining right arm. The knotted muscles like twisted steel cables were brimming with explosive power. He walked over to a rack of equipment in the corner of the camp. A heavy airtight hiss sounded as a mechanical arm gleaming with a cold metallic luster was slammed onto his empty left shoulder. A crude exoskeleton frame extended along his back and legs, locking into place with a series of grating creaks. The mechanical arm was covered in old scratches and ingrained grease stains. As the 5 thick metal fingers opened and closed, they emitted a teeth-grinding screech, and faint sparks even jumped between the joints. Kid, bear with it. Zhao Gang flexed the mechanical arm. The steel fist clenched, producing a metallic crackling. A few broken bones, and it'll be over before you know it. Before the words had even died away, Zhao Gang's form blurred into a shadow. The mechanical arm, trailing a piercing shriek as it tore through the air, came crashing down with the force of a collapsing mountain, aimed directly at Lin Yu's head. He hadn't held back. It's over. A few of the timid recruits squeezed their eyes shut, already imagining the sound of a skull shattering. But instead of the sickening thud of flesh and bone, what followed was a deafening clang of metal striking metal. Everyone's eyes snapped open, nearly popping out of their sockets. In the swirling dust, Lin Yu hadn't taken a single step back. Carrying 60 kilos of weight, he simply raised his right hand, fingers spread wide, and caught the murderous mechanical iron fist. Cleanly and steadily. The terrifying mechanical arm trembled violently in his grip, its metal joints groaning in unbearable strain, unable to advance a single inch. At the point of contact, the intense friction even sent a few dazzling sparks flying. Lin Yu slowly lifted his head. Through his bangs, his icy, deep-set eyes locked onto the utterly stunned Zhao Gang. His voice was terrifyingly calm. Captain Zhao, is this all you've got? No. High-precision machine tools. Small electric arc furnace. Zhao Gang's single eye glared at Lin Yu as if he were a madman who had just escaped from a psychiatric hospital. On this Ark, where even high-quality copper wire was a scarce commodity, making such a request was no less than asking for a full banquet of delicacies during a famine. Those weren't equipment. They were antiques. Legends that existed only in the memories of the first generation of Ark builders. No. Zhao Gang's voice was dry and hoarse, suppressing a rage of being toyed with. Are you mocking me? No complete ones. Then surely there are scrapped, broken, or dismantled ones. Lin Yu's tone was calm, as if discussing useless scrap, yet his eyes blazed with an unsettling intensity. As long as the core components aren't melted into molten iron, I can make them work. It wasn't confidence. It was an absolute certainty, as if stating a law of physics. Zhao Gang's heart pounded uncontrollably. Madman. This kid was utterly insane. But what if this madman could truly create a miracle using a pile of junk that the Federation's top engineers could not replicate? Once this thought arose, it spread like wildfire, igniting a fierce blaze in his heart long consumed by despair and numbness. He stared at Lin Yu for a full half-minute, as if trying to strip the young man's soul from his bones and see through him completely. Finally, he gritted his teeth until his molars nearly cracked. He made a decision that would likely land him before. Follow me. Zhao Gang led Lin Yu across the dusty training ground, past rows of crude barracks, to the most remote and neglected corner of the camp. He pulled a rusted key from his waist and unlocked a massive iron door, equally rusted. Creak. A dense, almost tangible odor of oil, rust, and dust assaulted them, nearly suffocating. This was the graveyard of the entire E District Pioneer Corps. All the damaged, scrapped, and irreparable equipment wreckage from alien exploration was dumped here, awaiting complete corrosion into useless metallic powder. At the deepest part of the graveyard lay two massive steel corpses, silent and still. One was a universal machine tool, with its half-twisted body, its control panel smashed to pieces, countless cables dangling like torn intestines narrating the abuse it had endured. The other was a small electric arc furnace with spiderweb-like cracks covering its walls, its critical energy interface violently ripped out, leaving only a gaping hole. "This is what you asked for." Zhao Gang's voice was thick with self-mockery. "The last industrial heritage of our E-District Pioneer Corps, declared completely scrapped 20 years ago. You want to use this pile of scrap to counter G-73's electromagnetic pulse?" Lin Yu did not answer. He stepped forward, his eyes showing no disdain, but rather the gaze of a top-tier appraiser admiring a rare dust-covered treasure. His fingers gently brushed the cold guide rails of the machine tool, feeling every minor scratch and imperceptible deformation. He bent down, tapped the inner wall of the arc furnace, and listened to the dull echoes. 5 minutes later, he straightened up and turned to Zhao Gang. "What about power?" "Over there." Zhao Gang pointed to a colossal machine rumbling in the corner. "An old steam generator supplying half the camp's electricity. Its output is extremely unstable. Overloading is routine. You want to use that?" "It's enough." Lin Yu only said 2 words. The next moment, his entire demeanor shifted abruptly. He took off his sweat-soaked shirt, revealing the explosively powerful fluid muscle lines reshaped by the super soldier serum. He didn't touch the 2 steel corpses first. Instead, like a cheetah locking onto its prey, he sprinted straight for the mountain of equipment wreckage. He rummaged through the junk pile with lightning speed, precise and efficient. A severely deformed titanium alloy armor plate, a half-melted drive shaft from high heat, several lengths of high-voltage cables of varying thicknesses but with intact cores. Within 10 minutes, a small pile of what anyone would consider useless, melt-worthy scrap lay before him. Then, under Zhao Gang's horrified gaze, he began a performance that would overturn cognition. He didn't touch the machine tool first. Instead, he headed straight for the roaring steam generator. With a single glance, he found the root of the power instability. Using his tattered shirt to wrap his arm, ignoring the valve's heat that would instantly scald an ordinary person, he relied on his enhanced strength and near-superhuman tactile perception to forcibly recalibrate a severely deformed pressure relief valve. Whoom! The generator's roar instantly became steady, smooth, and full of power. The power instability that had plagued the entire camp for years was solved by him in such a brutal, direct way in just over 10 seconds. Zhao Gang's eyelid twitched violently, and his heart skipped a beat. But this was only the beginning. Lin Yu approached the scrap machine tool, dismantling and reassembling the recovered junk one by one. With his superhuman wrist strength, he forcibly straightened the deformed titanium alloy plate, using it as a temporary replacement base. He cut the hardened drive shaft barehanded, then using primitive hammering and grinding on concrete, turned it into a spare part that met precise dimensions. His hands moved so fast, they became a blur, each action brimming with a precision and industrial beauty beyond this era. No blueprints. No measuring tools. All dimensions, angles, and tolerances seemed etched into his brain and muscle memory with laser accuracy. Clang, clang, clang. Crisp, rhythmic hammering echoed in the empty warehouse. It wasn't repair. It was creation. An hour later, Lin Yu extracted a few metal filaments thinner than hair from a cable, and with an incredible dexterity completed the final connection of the core circuit. He turned back to Zhao Gang, who stood petrified like a statue, and said, "Connect the power." Zhao Gang shuddered, snapping out of his trance, and almost crawled over, mechanically attaching the cables. The moment current surged in. Hum hum hum. The steel corpse, silent for 20 years and long sentenced to death, trembled violently, as if yearning for new life. On the control panel, the dust-covered indicator lights flickered on one by one in succession. Accompanied by a slightly rough yet pleasing mechanical sound, the tool head of the machine tool, after a 20-year slumber, hovered steadily in the air for the first time. It was alive. It was truly alive, damn it. This is impossible. Zhao Gang's voice trembled as he stared at the scene, feeling his worldview being shattered by an invisible giant hammer. But Lin Yu paid no attention to his shock. He picked up Zhao Gang's damaged mechanical arm from the fight and examined it closely. Watch closely. He activated the machine tool, and his hands danced in a blur over the makeshift control panel cobbled together from scrap. Sizzle. The piercing sound of metal cutting rang out. He actually used the limited functions of this antique machine tool to cut out parts to repair the mechanical arm he had just damaged, and even fine-tuned and optimized the internal energy transmission lines. Every cutting angle of each part, every drilling depth was flawless. Not a single error. After more than 10 minutes, Lin Yu stopped. He tossed the mechanical arm, now gleaming with new metallic luster, as if fresh from the factory, back to Zhao Gang. Try it. Zhao Gang, trembling almost with a sense of pilgrimage, reconnected the arm to his shoulder. Activate. Whoomp! A surge of power at least 10 stronger than before came from the mechanical arm. The energy output was perfectly stable, every movement smooth and fluid, as if it were his own limb. The slight stiffness that had plagued him for years due to battle damage was completely gone. He raised his head and stared at Lin Yu with an expression of worship, as if seeing a goddess savior. This recruit, using a pile of scrap, not only repaired an antique machine tool that had been scrapped for 20 years, but also upgraded the mechanical arm he cherished as his life. Was this technology? No. It was a miracle. It was magic. Now do you believe I can build what we need? Lin Yu asked calmly, as if he had just done something trivial. Zhao Gang took a deep breath, his chest heaving violently. The fire that had been suppressed in his single eye for years erupted forth, turning into boundless fervor. He slammed his upgraded mechanical fist heavily onto the nearby table. Boom. I believe. I damn well believe. Tell me, what else do you need? He'll rob the supply depot if I have to. A cold smile finally curled at the corner of Lin Yu's mouth. Materials. I need special conductive alloys, large quantities of energy storage battery packs, and some strictly controlled chemical agents. He raised his head, his gaze sharp as a blade. And all these things are in one place. The E-District Supply Depot. Zhao Gang's fervor instantly froze, replaced by a gravity he had never shown before. You're insane. That's Li Wenba's uncle Li Changshan's territory. Are you insane? That's the territory of Li Wenba's uncle Li Changshan. Zhao Gang's fervor was instantly doused by a bucket of ice water, replaced by a deep-seated wariness. Li Changshan, a quartermaster in the E-Zone Pioneer Corps of Federation City 3, was a local tyrant who had operated in this gray zone for over a decade. His connections, an intricate web. To take things from his warehouse wasn't just pulling a tooth from a tiger's mouth, it was sticking your head straight in. Robbery. Lin Yu looked at Zhao Gang's alarmed expression, shook his head calmly, and curled his lips into a cold arc. Captain, I'm an engineer, not a bandit. We don't do stupid things like robbery, low efficiency, high risk. We're going to make him kneel and hand over the supplies. We're going to file an application. An application? Zhao Gang laughed as if had heard the world's funniest joke. That old fox Li Changshan who devours people without spitting out bones would give us a single hair. We're going to file an application. An application? Zhao Gang laughed as if had heard the world's funniest joke. That old fox Li Changshan who devours people without spitting out bones, because what we're submitting isn't an application form. It's a death warrant. He pulled up a data pad, and the virtual keyboard blurred into a phantom under his fingers. The Pioneer Corps Pre-Mission Equipment Safety and Risk Self-Inspection Responsibility Statement. According to Federation Military Code Chapter 7 Section 32, Clause B, before a high-risk mission the commander has the right to question equipment, and the Quartermaster Department must provide material support. Approval must be given within 12 hours. If he dares to refuse, he'll have to write a report himself in black and white telling everyone, I believe the equipment risks raised by D-13 squad don't exist. If they die at G-73, it has nothing to do with me, Li Changshan. Captain, guess what that report will become if our entire squad is wiped out? Lin Yu's lips twisted into a sinister grin. It'll become the sharpest blade, seized by his enemies and thrust deep into his heart. Zhao Gang's breath caught in his throat. All the blood in his body seemed to reverse, a chill shooting from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. This wasn't a scheme, it was a killing blow. It was a guillotine forged from the Federation's military code, and the lives of their entire squad hanging directly over Li Changshan's neck. If he approved, he'd bleed resources. If he didn't, he'd lose his life. Will he stall? Zhao Gang's voice trembled. No. A trace of profound mockery flashed in Lin Yu's eyes. The attachment to the responsibility statement is a full record of my repairing that scrapped machine tool. It's solid proof of our capacity for technical upgrades. He's cornered. No grounds to stall or question. Killing a man, destroying his spirit, and cutting off all his escape routes. Zhao Gang stared at this terrifyingly calm young man, his heart pounding, as if trying to leap out of his throat. A monster. This was absolutely a monster. Let's do it. Zhao Gang slammed his fist into a nearby piece of scrap metal, producing a deafening boom. Half an hour later, the E-Zone Quartermaster Warehouse. Li Wenba, a low-level official in the E-Zone of Federation City 3, usually threw his weight around. That morning, after instructing Zhao Gang, he had nothing better to do and strolled over to his uncle's place, lounging with his legs crossed, boasting to a few warehouse clerks. See that? That one-eyed dragon, Zhao Gang. He's just a dog. With one word from me, he'd obediently grind that bastard Lin Yu into the dirt. By now that kid's bones are probably crushed to powder. Before he finished speaking, the heavy iron door of the warehouse was shoved open with a creak. Two figures walked in against the light, led by the one-eyed dragon Zhao Gang. And following behind him, the tall, cool-faced youth. Who else could it be but Lin Yu? The oily smile on Li Wenba's face froze instantly, his eyes bulging, as if he'd seen a ghost. You? How are you still alive? A shrill scream pierced the warehouse air. His finger pointing at Lin Yu trembled violently, then swung sharply to Zhao Gang, his face contorted with extreme rage. Zhao Gang. What the hell did you do? Didn't I tell you to? Get lost. Zhao Gang didn't even spare him a glance. The two words spat out like frozen ice. He strode straight past, leading Lin Yu toward the tightly shut office at the deepest part of the warehouse. Stop. Get the hell back here. Completely ignored, Li Wenbo flew into a rage. He lunged forward, spreading his pudgy arms to block the door, barking like a mad dog. My uncle's office. Do you lowlifes think you can just barge in? Without an announcement, no one. Before he could finish, Zhao Gang stepped forward and spoke, not loudly, but with words that thundered like thunder, ensuring the man in the office could hear clearly. Zhao Gang, captain of D-13 Squad, hereby submits the pre-mission equipment risk self-inspection responsibility statement to Supervisor Li as per core regulations. This is a serious matter. Delay it, and you won't be able to bear the consequences. At the mention of responsibility statement, Li Wenbo choked on his words. Silence reigned in the office for 2 seconds. Then a sullen voice, clearly annoyed at the interruption, rang out. Let him in. Zhao Gang pushed open the door and entered with Lin Yu. The air in the office was stale, thick with a mix of perfume and alcohol. Li Changshan sat behind a large desk, his military jacket casually draped over the chair back, his shirt unbuttoned at the top 2 buttons. Beside the desk, a young woman in heavy makeup was frantically straightening her disheveled collar, her cheeks flushed with an unnatural red. Seeing Zhao Gang and Lin Yu enter, she flinched like a startled rabbit, lowered her head, without daring to look at them, grabbed her bag, and nearly scurried past them out the door. A blaze of fury ignited in Zhao Gang's one eye. Outside, pioneers risked their lives for resources. Yet here the man in charge of the lifeline of supplies indulged in debauchery. This fury made his already fierce aura seem like a volcano about to erupt. Captain Zhao, you'd better have something truly earth-shattering. Li Changshan slowly buttoned his shirt, picked up his glass, his eyes as sinister as a viper's. Zhao Gang stepped forward and slammed the responsibility statement onto the desk with a sharp crack, spilling the drink. Supervisor Li, D-13 Squad's pre-mission self-inspection. Erase the list of lacking materials. Sign it. Li Changshan picked up the document, glanced at the title, and his face instantly changed. When he saw the dense list of materials in the appendix and the brief report on Lin Yu's repair of the machine tool, his hand trembled almost imperceptibly. This was a trap forged from military law and human lives to nail him down. Something Zhao Gang's simple mind could never devise. He jerked his head up, his hawk-like eyes locking onto Lin Yu past Zhao Gang. Are you threatening me? Li Changshan's voice seemed squeezed through his teeth. Lin Yu stepped forward, meeting his gaze calmly, and spoke slowly. Supervisor Li, this is not a threat. It is a lawful right granted to us by Chapter 7, Section 32, Clause B of the Ark Federation Pioneer Corps Regulations. He recited the military code clause right to his face. Li Changshan's eye twitched violently. Uncle, don't give it to them. Li Wenbo, oblivious to the danger, burst in again, shouting. Get out. Li Changshan whirled around, his roar like a thunderclap, startling Li Wenbo so much that his legs gave way, and he literally rolled out. The office fell into a deathly silence. Li Changshan's chest heaved violently. He stared at Lin Yu as if branding the young man's face into his bones. After a long moment, he picked up his pen and signed his name heavily on the responsibility statement. Approved. He tossed the document onto the desk, leaned back in his chair, his voice dripping with murderous intent. But I will also invoke the reciprocal clause. I'll immediately file this report and upgrade your squad's equipment risk level for this mission to the highest. That means any modification you make to the equipment will be your responsibility. If a malfunction causes casualties, the court-martial will hang you first, Zhao Gang. And every gram of material in this warehouse is accounted for. Take 1 gram extra, and you'll face court for theft of federal property. He expected to see panic. But Lin Yu merely picked up the approved document, his face as calm as ever. He even nodded politely at Li Changshan. Thank you for the reminder, Supervisor Li. We will be responsible for our... With that, he and Zhao Gang turned and left, leaving Li Changshan trembling with rage. Stepping out of the office, Zhao Gang felt an overwhelming sense of relief, as if the years of pent-up frustration had been swept away in an instant. Damn, what a thrill, he growled under his breath. Lin Yu, you're a fucking genius. Come on, let's go pick up the supplies. The two arrived at the material distribution center. Zhao Gang slammed the approval document onto the counter with a sharp crack, snarling at the administrator, whose face wore a look of utter despair. Read it carefully. This was approved by Li Changshan. Get everything listed there, not a single item missing. The administrator took the document with trembling hands, checked it, and his expression shifted from terror to a sinister sneer. He slowly pulled another list from his drawer and slid it in front of Lin Yu. My apologies, gentlemen. Commander Li has just issued a new order. This is the real-time inventory of available materials. Pointing at the new list with a forced smile, the administrator said, everything on your requisition form that appears on this inventory list will be provided without exception. As for what's not on the list, we can't help you with that. Zhao Gang snatched the so-called inventory list, and with a single glance the veins on his temples bulged his face, turning a deep shade of purple with rage. On the list, all the core materials they had requested. High-strength titanium alloy specialty, ceramic fibers, high-energy battery packs, were each marked in glaring red with the same word. Inventory 0. Are you fucking kidding me? Zhao Gang's roar thundered through the warehouse, rattling the shelf. His uninjured fist clenched with a cracking sound, and the fire in his single eye seemed ready to incinerate the smirking administrator on the spot. Yet the administrator just shrugged, his sneer growing even more pronounced. Captain Zhao, it's Commander Li's order, black and white. If you've got a problem, don't take it out on me. Ill fucking. Captain. Just as Zhao Gang was about to explode, a hand gently rested on his shoulder. It was Lin Yu. Without even glancing at the list, he calmly looked at the administrator and asked, "This list shows the real-time inventory of Grade A and Grade B available materials, am I right?" The administrator froze, then nodded instinctively. Of course. Good. Lin Yu nodded. He removed his hand from Zhao Gang's shoulder, stepped forward, and gazed past the administrator toward the deeper parts of the warehouse where mountains of materials marked as discarded and pending disposal were piled high. A smile crept across his lips, one that made the administrator's skin crawl. "Now please bring out the inventory list for Grade C, D, and all scrapped items as well." What? The administrator's smile froze on his face. Zhao Gang was also stunned. Why would they want a list of scrap? Those were nothing but rusty, broken, worthless junk. "You? What do you want with that garbage?" the administrator stammered. Lin Yu smiled, a cold, razor-sharp smile that sliced through Li Changshan's seemingly flawless scheme. Commander Li only temporarily cleared out the inventory of finished materials, but he forgot one thing. The elements that make up those materials are still lying in his scrap heap. Article 9 of the Supplementary Provisions of the Pioneer Core Material Management Regulations, to conserve resources and encourage technical innovation, any Pioneer squad is entitled to requisition graded and below scrapped materials free of charge for training or technology verification purposes up to a limit of 10 tons. Lin Yu's voice was not loud, but each word struck like a hammer against the hearts of the administrator and Zhao Gang. He had recited it again. The bastard had quoted the federal regulations again. The administrator's face drained of all color. He finally understood. This young man hadn't come to request supplies, he had come to flay them alive. Commander Li's order had hidden away all the good stuff, leaving them with nothing usable. But he never said they couldn't touch the scrap pile. Touching the scrap pile was perfectly legal and reasonable. To refuse would be obstructing technological innovation, a charge a lowly administrator could never bear. He'll get it. The administrator scrambled toward the archives. Zhao Gang was completely dumbfounded. He stared at Lin Yu as if beholding a living god, cutting off the supply at the source. This was the real masterstroke. Li Changshan thought he had won, but he didn't know that Lin Yu had no intention of asking for his rice. Instead, he set the whole granary ablaze and milled the grain on the spot. Soon a list filled with entries like scrap iron, old copper scrap, and depleted battery packs was produced. Lin Yu took the list, didn't even glance at it, and handed it directly to Zhao Gang. "Captain, if you would, go by the list and bring back all the scrap marked with titanium, tungsten, or silicon, as well as all the discarded battery packs." "Got it." Zhao Gang bellowed, a single word driven by an unprecedented fervor. He immediately summoned a group of his men and charged into the scrap pile himself. An hour later, under the murderous gaze of Li Wenba, Lin Yu and Zhao Gang rolled out of the supply depot with cartloads of garbage, piled high, swaggering as they went. When word reached Li Changshan in his office, he punched the desk in fury, toppling his wine glass and soaking his hand in liquor. Over the next 7 days, the graveyard, warehouse, and Zone E became forbidden ground. Zhao Gang with 2 veterans stood guard at the door, allowing no one near. Inside the warehouse, a miracle unfolded, one beyond the comprehension of ordinary mortals. Using the restored antique electric arc furnace, Lin Yu remelted various scrap alloys with precise proportions and temperatures, extracting gleaming ingots of metal. On the creaking universal machine tool, Lin Yu's hands blurred into shadows. Without blueprints, without calculators, relying solely on his eyes and hands that transcended the era, he machined the ingots into intricate, oddly shaped components. He's insane. Absolutely insane. Machine Gunner Zhang Lei, a loud, curly-haired young man, clamped his hand over his mouth, his eyes bulging like saucers, afraid he might scream. The taciturn sniper Liu Mo also stared at Lin Yu's hands, his sharp, hawk-like eyes filled with deepest. They watched as Lin Yu violently disassembled the discarded battery packs, extracted the cells, and rewired them in a configuration they couldn't comprehend, finally assembling them into palm-sized new battery packs that delivered incredibly stable energy output. Over those 7 days, while others were still drilling in tedious formations and marksmanship, Lin Yu, with nothing but scrap, single-handedly crafted 4 sets of equipment that would revolutionize the era's technological understanding. Passive electromagnetic guidance system. By the time Lin Yu installed the final circuit board into the external module of the protective suit, the 7-day recruit training had also concluded. Zhao Gang gazed at the 4 suits of armor gleaming with a dark blue metallic luster radiating an aura of futuristic technology, trembling with excitement. He knew their chance of survival in G73 had finally arrived. The radiance atop the dome began to dim, heralding the end of another day. Lin Yu dragged his weary steps back to his home. After 7 days of intense mental and physical labor, even his body, fortified by super soldier serum, was steeped in profound exhaustion. Yet his eyes remained alarmingly bright, like a wolf returning to its lair. The room was dim, the air carrying the faint aroma of low-grade bran. Su Muxue sat by the sole rickety table, her spine ramrod straight. On the table lay 2 coarse rye breads, black as stone, and a bowl of clear water. She was waiting for him. At the sound of the door opening, Su Muxue jerked her head up. In her icy, snow-like eyes flickered a trace of panic and relief she herself hadn't noticed. Her gaze swept over Lin Yu, confirming all his parts were intact before her tense shoulders sagged slightly. "You're back," she said, her voice still cold, but lacking the sharpness of 7 days ago. Lin Yu closed the door behind him. The click of the lock was jarringly loud in the dead silence. He walked to the table, not sitting, but looking down at his nominal wife. His gaze roamed unabashedly over her collar, finally settling on her flat abdomen. Lin Yu frowned slightly, grabbed a black bread from the table, and took a savage bite. The hard texture ached his teeth, but instantly sobered him. "Seems these 7 days have been peaceful enough for you." Lin Yu swallowed the coarse food, pulled out a chair, and sat down, his long legs stretching out casually, dominating the cramped space. Su Muxue's fingers tightened around her cup. "How was the training?" she finally ventured, trying to break the suffocating pressure. "Training?" Lin Yu let out a scoff, swallowing the last of the bread, his eyes playful. "That child's play. I didn't go." Su Muxue was taken aback. "Then where did you go?" "I gave that old fox Li Changshan a lesson." Lin Yu tapped his fingers lightly on the table, his tone as casual, as if discussing dinner, yet his words were shocking. "I slapped a pre-war equipment risk self-inspection responsibility form in his face and forced him to sign off on opening the armory. Of course he tried to play dirty, zeroing out all the finished goods inventory to make a fool of me." Su Muxue's breath caught. Li Changshan had controlled E-District supplies for over a decade with ruthless cunning. Lin Yu was pulling a tiger's teeth. And then, she pressed instinctively. Then, a grim smile curved Lin Yu's lips. "Not only did I make him open the door, but I also legally and compliantly hauled away all his scrap containing titanium and tungsten, along with several tons of discarded battery packs, right in front of him. Just now, using that trash he considers worthless, I hand-built 4 sets of passive guidance systems capable of withstanding G73 electromagnetic pulses. Right now that old fox is probably smashing teacups in his office." Boom. Su Muxue's mind went blank, her hand trembling violently, spilling water without noticing. Pulling a tiger's teeth, cutting the ground from under his feet, turning dross into gold. Each step was a dead end ordinary people wouldn't dare imagine, yet he had casually bulldozed through it all. As the daughter of a top scientist, she understood better than anyone the terrifying intellect, technology, and audacity behind Lin Yu's bland statements. Her original impression of him as a bottom-tier cannon fodder shattered completely. "Full." Lin Yu suddenly interrupted her shock. He stood up, his shadow once again enveloping Su Muxue. The familiar, aggressive, masculine aura washed over her. "Since you're full, it's time we talk business." Lin Yu propped one hand on the table edge, leaning close to her face, his deep eyes fixed on her. "My value is proven. Stick with me, and you'll survive. Now it's your turn. I told you I want a technology partner." Lin Yu gently lifted her chin with his finger, the touch sending a shiver through Su Muxue. "Besides this body, what other capital can you offer to satisfy my investment? If not, we'll have to continue the biological experiment we left unfinished 7 days ago." As he spoke, his hand slid slowly down her collarbone. That naked gaze, as if appraising a commodity, filled Su Muxue with shame and an unprecedented sense of crisis. In this man's eyes, beauty was the cheapest bargaining chip. To truly earn his respect and stand tall in this dog-eat-dog world, she had to reveal her real trump card. "Wait." Su Muxue abruptly grabbed Lin Yu's roving hand, breathing heavily, cheeks flushed, but her eyes blazing with desperate resolve. "I have value. Besides my body, I have intelligence you absolutely can't refuse." Lin Yu paused, his eyes narrowing. "Oh, spit it out. If it's just E-District gossip you might find tonight very tiring. It's about the truth of the Ark. The truth known only to a very few now." Su Muxue stared intently at Lin Yu, her voice growing hoarse and hollow, as if lost in memory. "Lin Yu, do you think we're adrift? Do you think the Ark is humanity's last Noah's Ark?" "Wrong. All wrong." She took a deep breath, as if expelling 20 years of pent-up weight. "It's a lie. A colossal deception spanning 40 years. Lin Yu withdrew his hand, crossed his arms, and leaned against the wall, his eyes signaling her to continue. Su Muxue stood up, trembling, walked to the window, and pointed at the pitch-black dome in the distance. The story begins with the flood. Before the Ark Era, Earth's observatories detected an unprecedented massive belt of icy meteoroids that would traverse the entire solar system. The icy meteoroid belt from space melted in Earth's outer atmosphere, turning into billions of tons of water that poured down under gravity. Global super rainstorms lasted for months, erasing all civilization. It was then that the then Chinese government unveiled the last hope, the Ark, a relic of unknown civilization discovered deep in the Tibetan Plateau, an incredibly sturdy and bizarre spaceship. Its external length was only a few kilometers. Sky was 150 kilometers above the ground, with the dome being the ship's inner wall. At one end of the ship, there was a blue light membrane 100 meters in diameter, passively isolating internal and external matter exchange, but allowing active entry and exit. There was no sun, but the inner wall of the dome would automatically emit light for 12 hours, then go dark for 12 hours, cycling continuously. The surviving humans, carrying everything they could, fled in here, thinking it was a new beginning. As she spoke, a bitterly ironic smile curled at her lips. But it wasn't flying at all. It was a jump. After a flash of blue light, we arrived here. A cosmic void with matter so sparse it's boundless. An absolutely sealed black box. Lin Yu's pupils constricted sharply. What about the Stargate? He asked the crucial question. To an unknown planet once a year. We can't control it, can't predict it. We're like pets kept in a can, crouching by the only vent, waiting for the owner to randomly toss in some garbage to keep us alive. A timed, resource-feeding interface. Lin Yu defined humanity's 40-year fate with a crueler technical term. such a short time. Zhang Lei, however, bounded over noisily, clapping Lin Yu on the shoulder with a grin more painful than a grimace. You're fine. Put in formation the atmosphere as oppressive as a graveyard. The warehouse keeper stood expressionless nearby, and it was Zhao Gang himself who issued the gear. He opened yours. Zhao Gang handed 3 of them to Zhang Lei, Lu Mo, and Lin Yu. Zhang Lei took the 30-kilogram suit, feeling its familiar up so fancy, heading to G73 for a collective ascension to heaven. Li Wenbo swaggered over with a few lackeys, his face dripping with undisguised mockery and smugness. His eyes immediately fell on Lin Yu and the distinctive black protective suit he wore. Tisk tisk tsk. Lin Yu, you actually managed to get yourself a nice piece. Li Wenbo circled Lin Yu like he was appraising a product, then deliberately blocked his path to the boarding ramp. Too bad. No matter how good you look, once you and stepped aside to walk past. But Li Wenbo wouldn't let go. He sidestepped again, blocking the way, leaned close to Lin Yu's face, and lowered his voice until only the two could hear, sneering, darkly eager to die. Don't rush. After you're dead, your prime wife Su Mushua, I'll take care of her for you. After all, a piece like her isn't common in the matching system, am I right? Lin Yu stopped. He slowly raised his head, looked at Li Wenbo's punchable face right in front of him, and suddenly that smile was exceptionally bright, even tinged with innocence. Li Wenbo. Huh. Li Wenbo, thinking he had struck a nerve, raised an eyebrow smugly. Good dogs don't block the way. The words had barely left his mouth when Lin Yu's gaze turned ice cold. Without warning. Thud. A dull explosion rang out. His right leg, enhanced by the super soldier serum, whipped out like a steel chain speeding out of a cannon, slamming viciously into Li Wenbo's lower abdomen. Ack. Li Wenbo didn't even have time to react. His body instantly doubled over like a shrimp, his eyes nearly popping out of their sockets. Then the tremendous force sent him flying off the ground for a split second before he tumbled backward like a bowling ball, crashing into a pile of discarded oil drums. Platter. The drums collapsed, burying Li Wenbo beneath them, leaving only a pair of twitching legs and a squeal like a stuck pig. Dead silence. Everyone's jaws dropped, staring in disbelief. Lin Yu withdrew his leg, brushed the non-existent dust off his pant leg, and said calmly to the stunned crowd, "What are you staring at?" Board the ship. Without so much as a glance at the wreckage, he turned and strode into the transport. Domineering. Arrogant. Holy crap. Awesome. Zhang Lei snapped out of it, his face flushed with excitement. He gave Lin Yu a thumbs up and hurried. Zhao Gang shot Lin Yu a deep look, a faint, barely perceptible smirk of satisfaction at the corner of his mouth. He waved his hand all aboard. Once every team member had boarded. Only then did a few people manage to pull Li Wenba out from under the debris. Clutching his bloated belly covered head to toe and face in grease, his features twisted in agony, he pointed at the closing hatch and roared hysterically, "Lin Yu, I'll kill you. I'll slaughter your whole family." Whoom. The transport's hatch scraped shut with a grating screech, sealing off his impotent rage along with the filthy world outside. Inside the transport, a stench of machine oil, rust, and sweat hit them. Lin Yu sat in his seat, his expression calm as still water, as if he had just kicked aside a roadside pebble. Once everyone had found their places and fastened their seat belts, Zhao Gang, Lu Mo, and a burly man strode straight into the cockpit. Moments later, the whole ship shuddered violently, groaning as if under unbearable strain. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Lin Yu felt like he was riding not a spaceship, but a vintage tractor. He peered up. The transport lifted off, slowly wobbling, as if it might fall any second. The figure on the ground, still jumping and cursing, shrank into a ridiculous black dot. Then the entire third city came into view, rapidly shrinking in his sight, until it resembled a huge, dusty steel cage. Soon 8 more transport ships, each different in shape but equally battered, flew in from various directions, merging into a crooked formation. Their destination was the same, the very center of the Ark. There, suspended in the void, stood an immense frame beyond description. It was the Stargate. Inside the frame, instead of deep space, churned a shifting, twisting curtain of light, a flowing abstract painting radiating an energy that made the heart tremble. Lin Yu's transport lined up with that curtain of light. It didn't slow down. It simply plunged straight in. Boom. The world vanished. Lin Yu felt as if his body had been tossed into a giant washing machine, and the powerful spin-dry mode had been engaged. No light, no sound. All 5 senses and 6 consciousnesses were utterly stripped away, leaving only a terrifying, chaotic sensation of the soul being forcibly torn from the body, then crumpled into a ball and stuffed into a meat grinder. This feeling lasted for an unknown duration, maybe a second, maybe an entire century. When vision abruptly returned, a scene of unparalleled grandeur and utter stillness burst forth before everyone's eyes. A planet so massive it defied imagination. Its surface was a monotonous ochre covered with enormous craters and bottomless ravines resembling an aged and hideous face. No clouds, no oceans, only an endless expanse of rock and yellow sand. This was G73 Chongyan Star. I damn. Zhang Lei's mouth was open wide enough to fit a fist, so shocked that even his trademark curse, "fuck it," slipped his mind. The other recruits inside the transport craft were also pressed tightly against the portholes, too terrified by the hellish sight to utter a word. Attention all units. Execute surface scanning according to the predetermined plan, maintain communication distance, and report status every 10 minutes. The voice of the mothership command came through the cockpit communication channel. Soon the formation of 10 battered transport craft dispersed and flew in different directions. The ship Lin Yu was on, the Kaichuo's 13, chose a huge canyon area straight ahead. Scanning module activated. Analyzing surface. Lu Mo's voice rang out calmly from the cockpit. However, as his words faded, a piercing alarm blared without warning through the entire cabin. ZZT. In an instant, all the lights in the cabin went out. Immediately after, the entire transport craft was seized by an invisible giant hand, violently jolting and spiraling out of control. Steady. Lei Dachui pulled the manual control lever all the way down. Zhao Gang's agonized roar came from the cockpit. "No, Captain. The control rudder is also out of control." A burly man's desperate yell followed. A feeling of weightlessness suddenly hit. The bow of the transport craft uncontrollably tilted downward, plunging straight toward a towering rock mountain on the surface. "It's over. We're going to die." Screams of despair, cries, and prayers filled the dark cabin. Lin Yu clung tightly to a fixed handrail nearby, though his body, enhanced by super soldier serum, barely kept him from being flung away. Through the porthole, he watched helplessly as the pitch-black rock mountain rapidly grew larger in his vision. Boom. A deafening, eardrum-shattering blast. Lin Yu felt as if he had been struck heat-in by a battering ram. His internal organs misaligned, his vision darkened, and he nearly blacked out. The transport craft's hull emitted a teeth-grinding screech of tearing metal, and a large gash was brutally ripped open in the fuselage. But the anticipated disintegration did not occur. The weightlessness continued. They were falling. Boom. Another loud crash as the transport finally slammed into something, producing a dull roar followed by countless tiny cracking sounds. Everything fell into dead silence. In the dark cabin, only heavy gasps and the pained moans of the injured remained. A thick smell of blood and burnt metal quickly spread. Cough. Cough. Lin Yu unbuckled his seatbelt and climbed out from a pile of twisted seats and debris. He felt pain in every part of his body, but fortunately no broken bones. Turn on. Turn on the emergency lights. Someone shouted. Seconds later, several pale beams of light illuminated the disastrous scene inside the cabin. This place could no longer be called a cabin, it was more like a violently crushed tin can. Twisted steel beams, severed cables, and shattered interior panels were everywhere. Even more terrifying, among the debris lay 7 or 8 bodies twisted in abnormal positions. Blood stained the deck beneath them. A 30-person squad had lost nearly a quarter of its members before even setting foot on alien soil. Is everyone alive? Sound off. Zhao Gang's voice came from the direction of the cockpit hoarse with survival after the disaster. Zhonglei. Here. Lu Mo. Here. The survivors responded one after another, their voices filled with fear and bewilderment. They were trapped in a totally dark, broken metal can. A true iron coffin. At that moment, all the personnel's protective suit systems simultaneously sounded urgent alarms. Warning. Detected unknown toxic components in the external atmosphere. Do not open the face shield. Warning. Protective suit power system abnormal. Estimated remaining operational time 43 minutes. 43 minutes. That number struck each survivor's heart like a heavy hammer. The energy that could originally last 3 hours now had less than a quarter remaining. How could this happen? How could there be so little left? A recruit stared at the rapidly decreasing energy reading on his arm, his voice trembling uncontrollably. It was the electromagnetic pulse. It not only fried the ship's systems, but also overcharged the energy core of our protective suits. Another veteran who knew some tech explained in despair. In an hour and a half the suits would fail. By then the external poison would kill everyone. The countdown to death had begun. Wah! I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Finally, a recruit's mental state completely collapsed. He clutched his head and let out a desperate sob. The crying spread like an infectious virus, instantly igniting everyone's fear. It's over. We're finished. Help. Someone save us. Mom. Despair spread like a plague in the narrow iron coffin. Shut the fuck up, all of you. Zhang Lei, eyes red, tried to suppress the chaos with his roars, but his voice was quickly drowned out by the cries, and his own face was pale. In the midst of chaos, Lin Yu calmly checked his protective suit. Passive electromagnetic guidance system, power module. Suffered EMP shock, energy loss 37. Estimated remaining operational time, 113 minutes. Zhao Gang crawled out of the half-destroyed cockpit. He had already attached his mechanical arm to the specially modified sealed protective suit. The arm slammed hard against the cabin wall with a loud clang in an attempt to quell the chaos. All of you shut the hell up. However, facing the rapidly ticking countdown of life, his authority lost its effect. The crying did not diminish. Just as everyone was completely engulfed by the shadow of death and sinking into boundless collapse and despair, a voice, calm and devoid of any emotion, clearly reached each person's ears through the public communication channel. Shut up. If you want to live, follow my orders. Lin Yu's voice was not loud, yet it pierced through the noisy wails and chaos within the cabin like a red-hot blade. An eerie silence fell over the entire iron coffin for a split second. All the survivors, including Zhao Gang, who was on the verge of rage, instinctively turned their heads and stared in bewilderment at the figure standing in the shadow of the wreckage. Him. That recruit who had performed countless miracles only to utterly disappoint them before departure. What did he intend to do? How could he claim they would survive when everyone deemed this a hopeless dead end? Lin Yu paid no heed to the bewildered, skeptical, and even slightly mocking gazes of the crowd. He strode directly to Zhao Gang, his eyes blazing with an astonishing light in the darkness, fixated on Zhao Gang's single eye. Captain Zhao, I need your support. His voice brooked no argument. This is our only chance to live. Zhao Gang stared at him, his lips moving as if to speak, yet finding himself utterly unable to utter a single word. A chance. In this situation, what damn chance was there? The ship had crashed, they were stranded on an alien world, and the energy in their protective suits was counting down. This was a hellish difficulty start. I need some things. Lin Yu's speech suddenly accelerated like a precision computer beginning high-speed operation, clearly listing a series of material requirements that sounded incomprehensible to others. The wreckage of the transport ship's main energy core. All alloy components containing palladium and titanium. High-strength power cables functional or not, I want them all. The burned-out main control circuit board, and all the capacitors from the backup power supply. He paused, sweeping his gaze across the room, and issued his first command. Captain Zhao organized the personnel. Within 15 minutes, gather all these items in the rear engine room. I need you, Zhang Lei and Lu Mo, to clear a path and guard the engine room door. No one is allowed near it. This command exploded like a bomb in the silent cabin. After a brief silence, an even greater commotion erupted. He's insane. Absolutely insane. A soldier whose spirit had completely collapsed pointed at Lin Yu and shrieked. What use is collecting that scrap metal? In this situation, if we don't find a way out of here or contact the outside, we're all going to die. Yeah, even if we collect all that stuff, what then? Can he magically conjure a new ship out of thin air? I think he's scared witless, just babbling nonsense. Voices of doubt and mockery rose one after another. The despair that had just been suppressed surged back with a vengeance. Even Zhang Lei looked at Lin Yu in utter confusion, opening his mouth, as if to ask something, yet not knowing where to begin. Lu Mo remained silent, but his hawk-like eyes were also filled with deep bewilderment. Only Zhao Gang stared fixedly at Lin Yu's calm, unfathomable eyes. He recalled the monster in the E-Zone training camp who had caught his mechanical arm with one hand. He recalled the miracle of using a pile of scrap to repair a machine tool that had been idle for 20 years. He recalled the madman who had cornered that old fox Li Changshan using federal military law. This kid never did anything without a plan. Every one of his seemingly insane moves hit a trump card capable of overturning everyone's understanding. Could it be the same this time? A wild thought blazed like wildfire in Zhao Gang's heart. Gamble. Either way it was death. Better to trust him once than sit here, crying and waiting to die. With that thought, a terrifying ferocity erupted in Zhao Gang's single eye. He spun around abruptly, drawing a large-caliber standard-issue pistol from the holster on the outside of his protective suit. Click. The crisp sound of a round being chambered was particularly jarring in the chaotic cabin. He lunged in a single bound to the soldier who had been shouting the loudest, jamming the dark muzzle of the gun hard against his terror-filled helmet. Follow orders. Zhao Gang's voice was hoarse like a roar from the abyss, every word reeking of blood. Or I'll send you to hell right now. The entire place fell into instant dead silence. Everyone was stunned by Zhao Gang's sudden brutal action, staring at him in fear. The soldier with the gun pressed to his head felt his legs go weak, nearly collapsing to the floor, not daring to utter another word. Damn it all. Zhang Lei was the first to react. He wiped his face hard as if trying to erase all fear and hesitation. He looked at Lin Yu, forcing a smile uglier than tears, and roared, "Death is certain anyway. I'm trusting brother Lin Yu this once. Isn't it just a pile of junk? They'll tear this whole damn ship apart for you." With that, he grabbed a broken steel pipe nearby and charged toward the main energy core area Lin Yu had mentioned, frantically dismantling it with a clatter. Lu Mo was the second to act. Without a word, he silently put away his dagger, walked to the cockpit area, and used brute force to pry open a deformed floor panel, beginning to extract the thick cables from beneath. With Zhao Gang's violent suppression and the lead of Zhang Lei and Lu Mo, the remaining survivors, though still filled with confusion and fear, were ultimately driven by their survival instinct. Looking at Lin Yu's unyielding, powerful aura and Zhao Gang's murderous glare, they could only move mechanically and numbly. In an instant, the iron coffin was filled with the sounds of clanging and tearing metal. This group, pushed to the brink, began their final, most desperate struggle. Lin Yu, alone and silent, walked toward the engine room at the rear of the cabin. He had been clutching that backpack tightly in his hand all along. No one knew that inside it lay their only chance of survival. As the others carried oddly shaped pieces of scrap metal into the engine room, Lin Yu cast one last look at Zhao Gang and nodded. Zhao Gang understood, and along with Zhang Lei and Lu Mo stood guard at the door like 3 stone sentinels. Creak. The heavy metal door of the engine room slowly closed behind Lin Yu. It seemed to separate life from death. The engine room door slammed shut heavily. He did not immediately take out the black briefcase. Instead, he closed his eyes first. In his mind, the incredibly complex structural blueprint of the Ark Reactor emerged clearly. Every part, every circuit. Core material palladium. Confinement coil material copper, gold, rare earth composite elements. Energy conduction, medium, high purity crystalline silicon. He stood in the darkness, quietly listening to the sounds outside the door until he confirmed that Zhao Gang and the others had the situation under control. Only then did he unzip the backpack and take out the briefcase made entirely of an unknown black alloy. As he operated it, a soft light screen lit up on one side of the briefcase, casting a faint, insignificant glow into the darkness. This was the portable industrial mother machine, a divine creation beyond its time. Zhao Gang, Zhang Lei, and Lu Mo stood like 3 iron towers guarding the engine room door in silence. Their backs pressed tightly against the cold metal door, isolating the 20-odd gazes behind them, curious, suspicious, or despairing. "Captain Zhao, what do you think Lin Yu is up to?" Zhang Lei lowered his voice, his tone filled with uncertainty. Though he had been the first to support Lin Yu honestly, he had no confidence at all. A pile of scrap metal, what could it do? Could it really forge gold? Shut up and watch. Zhao Gang's voice was low and hoarse. His single eye stared fixedly at the faint glimmer seeping through the crack beneath the engine room door, his heart pounding uncontrollably. He didn't know what Lin Yu was going to do either, but he had no choice but to trust. Lu Mo remained silent, shifting his weight lower, gripping the Federation standard weapon tightly, alert to any potential mishap. Inside the engine room, Lin Yu didn't hesitate for a moment. He fully opened the suitcase, revealing its sci-fi interior structure. One side held a complex holographic control panel, the middle featured a funnel-shaped feed port, and the other side bore a precision printing arm resembling a cannon barrel. He put on the neural interface headset. In the next second, the vast and complete blueprint of the Ark Reactor first generation miniaturized unfurled instantly in his mind. Let's begin. Lin Yu's eyes showed no ripple, only absolute calm and focus. He fed the scrap metal salvaged from various parts of the transport shuttle piece by piece into the industrial mother machine's feed port. Material analysis in progress. Detected titanium, alloy, palladium, copper, silicon. Composition matched 73. Initiating atomic-level decomposition and recombination program. Plan confirmed. Ark Reactor core component. Construction commencing. With a soft hiss, a hair-thin, intensely condensed blue laser beam shot from the tip of the industrial mother machine's black printing arm. The laser scanned, outlined, and stacked at lightning speed in the air. The waste alloys fed into the port were thoroughly decomposed at the atomic level, then reprinted and reshaped according to the structure of the reactor's core components. If any scientist aboard the Ark had witnessed this scene, they would have gone mad on the spot. This wasn't manufacturing. This was creation. Lin Yu's movements never paused. While the core component was being printed, he began handling the collected cables. He stripped the insulation with his fingernails, using the most primitive method of twisting and knotting to reconnect and reroute the wires. Every motion was precise, exuding the raw, untamed aesthetic of the industrial age. He moved like a master craftsman who had repeated this process billions of times, each step ingrained in his memory. Outside the door, Zhao Gang and his two companions could vaguely see the flickering blue light through the crack. They didn't understand, but they were profoundly shaken. Their breaths grew heavy, their hearts pounding as if trying to leap out of their throats. Time ticked by second. Outside the engine room, except for the four suits Lin Yu had modified, the other survivors' suit energy was nearing the final warning line. Red alarm lights flickered intermittently in the dark cabin, emitting urgent beeps. Less than 10 minutes left. Is he not done yet? It's over. We're really going to die here. The despair that had just been suppressed crept back like a clinging bone, seizing everyone's hearts. Just then, the engine room door creaked open from within. Lin Yu stepped out of the darkness. All eyes instantly fixed on him. In the dead silence, Lin Yu slowly raised his right hand. In his palm, he held a brand-new bullseyed ring device covered with rough cables. At the center of the device, a pure, profound blue light, as if containing an entire galaxy, flared up. The light wasn't blinding, but it instantly dispelled all the darkness and gloom in the cabin. It illuminated every face outside, twisted by despair, frozen in fear. Time seemed to stand still at that moment. Everyone forgot to breathe, forgot to think, staring dumbly at the palm-sized sun that had appeared out of thin air in Lin Yu's hand. What was that? A miracle. Lin Yu held up his self-made second heart, his gaze calmly sweeping across the crowd. His voice, though soft, carried a divine authority, clearly reaching everyone's ears. I told you we can survive. The blue light reflected on everyone's stunned faces. Time seemed to freeze at that moment. No one spoke, no one moved. Everyone was as if under a spell, staring fixedly at the glowing miracle in Lin Yu's hand, their minds blank. What was that thing? A glowing stone, or some secret weapon the Federation had never disclosed? They couldn't understand, couldn't fathom it. All they knew was that the blue light was truly beautiful and warm, like the embrace of a mother from legend. Lin Yu paid no attention to their dazed reactions. Carrying the freshly made Ark Reactor, he walked straight to the main energy interface in the middle of the transport shuttle. The cover plate there had already been opened, revealing the charred, chaotic wiring beneath. He crouched down and skillfully connected the rough cables extending from the reactor to the interface. Sparks crackled as a few sharp flashes passed. In the next second, all the lights inside the wrecked transport shuttle flickered on at once. Then the air circulation and cooling systems hummed to life, resuming operation. The suffocating heat and stale air in the cabin began to slowly dissipate. The lights are on, someone shouted. Quick, charge. The survivors snapped out of their stupor. They frantically pulled backup charging cables from the nearest wall interfaces and connected them to their suits. A crisp beep sounded. The red low-power alarm vanished, replaced by a steadily rising green energy bar. We survived. We actually survived. After a brief dead silence, the entire cabin erupted into a thunderous life-saving celebration. We survived. I won't die. Whoa, thank goodness. After a brief dead silence, everyone burst into a thunderous life-saving celebration. Some hugged those beside them, crying and laughing. Others knelt on the ground, pounding the icy metal floor with their fists, venting the exhilaration of escaping death. And when they had vented their emotions and lifted their heads, all eyes involuntarily and unanimously converged on the tall young man standing by the main power interface. That gaze was no longer one of doubt or confusion. It was awe, fervor, the worship one reserves for a deity. If before Lin Yu repairing the machine tool and standing up to Li Changshan only made him appear as a highly skilled, audacious genius, then now this man who had conjured a son from a pile of scrap metal in a desperate situation held only one identity in their eyes: God. A god walking among mortals omnipotent. Fuck it. Zhang Lei hugged a cold metal pillar crying and laughing, his face a mess of snot and tears. I knew it. I knew Brother Lin Yu was no ordinary man. This is just too damn incredible. Lu Mo leaned against the distant wall silent, just watching Lin Yu's back. His eagle-sharp eyes flickered with an unprecedented complex and blazing light. Zhao Gang took a deep breath, forcibly suppressing the tempestuous waves within him. He walked over to Lin Yu, straightened his tattered uniform, and with his uninjured left hand executed a perfectly standard federal military salute towards Lin Yu. Pioneer Corps, E-13 Squad, 7 casualties, 23 survivors. His voice was hoarse, yet carried unprecedented solemnity and gravity. From now on, our lives are in your hands. Lin Yu looked at him calmly without explaining the principles of the Ark Reactor. That was too far beyond them. He merely nodded, and then his authoritative gaze swept across every person present. Those who met his gaze unconsciously straightened their backs, the wild joy on their faces slowly fading, replaced by solemnity and awe. If you want to survive, do as I say. Lin Yu's voice, transmitted through the public channel, reached everyone's ear. First, all wounded must receive treatment immediately. Inventory all medical supplies and equipment, centralize management, and prioritize the severely injured. Second, form a security squad. Led by Lu Mo, select 4 members, arm yourselves, and establish the first defensive perimeter within 30 meters of the transport craft. Report any unusual activity immediately. Yes, sir. Lu Mo didn't hesitate. He picked the 4 calmest members, armed them, and quickly rushed out through the breach in the cabin. Third, form an engineering team. Responsible by Lei Dachui. Lin Yu's gaze fell on the burly man who had been shouting in the cockpit earlier. Yes, sir. Present. Lei Dachui snapped to attention, his face red with excitement. Your task is to take the remaining men and immediately begin dismantling non-essential structures of the transport craft. Seal all damaged cabin breaches. I want to see a solid fortress in 3 hours, not a leaky tin can. If you lack any equipment or parts, tell me directly. I guarantee the mission. Lei Dachui pounded his chest, roaring with all his might. A series of clear, effective, and unquestionable orders were issued. The survivors, still immersed in the joy of their narrow escape, immediately sprang into action like activated machines working efficiently. Chaos was quelled in the shortest possible time. Replacing it was an unprecedented cohesion and discipline, for they all understood clearly that from now on, every word from that young man would be their sole creed for survival in this hellish world. His authority at this moment was unrivaled. He was the sole king of this fallen kingdom. The camp under Lin Yu's command quickly became operational. The wounded received treatment, supplies were inventoried, and under Lei Dachui's leadership the damaged hull was patched piece by piece with armor plates scavenged from other parts of the ship. Lin Yu also used the industrial machine tool to print some high-strength rivets and structural adhesives, greatly speeding up the work. 3 hours later, the wreckage of the transport craft had transformed significantly. The breaches were mostly sealed, though ugly, it at least provided a sealed safe space. Lu Mo's security squad had also cleared a safe zone around the transport craft. It was then that they truly saw their environment. Captain Lin. Lu Mo's voice came through Lin Yu's private comm channel. He had already changed the form of address. Our current position seems to be a massive underground cavern. Surrounding us are huge glowing mushrooms. The temperature is very high, at least 60 degrees. Our iron coffin crashed right into a sea of those mushrooms. They acted as a cushion, or we might have been flattened into a pancake. Lin Yu walked to a porthole that still offered a faint view outside, and looked out. Indeed, outside was a dim and vast world. Countless gigantic mushrooms, emitting a faint fluorescent glow, formed a fantastical underground forest. The Federation's intelligence is all bullshit, Lin Yu muttered to himself. Their knowledge of this planet was limited to the surface. Beneath the surface, however, clearly nurtured a completely unknown ecosystem. The unknown meant danger. Lin Yu gathered the core members, Zhao Gang, Lu Mo, Zhang Lei, and Lei Dachui, for a brief meeting. Our current situation is more complicated than imagined. Lin Yu cut to the chase. You've seen our surroundings. This is not a dead star. All the intelligence the Federation gave us is now worthless. The surface environment might indeed be waterless, but underground it's an entirely different world. He paused, pointing out the next grave issue. Moreover, our weapons are too primitive. The transport craft stores were standard Federation powder-burning rifles. Such weapons might suffice against humans, but facing an unknown alien world, Lin Yu felt a nagging fear of insufficient firepower. Captain Lin, what do you mean? Zhao Gang asked. I need to upgrade our weapons, Lin Yu announced. At the very least, our core combat personnel must possess firepower capable of a single lethal strike. He urged everyone to take action once more. Lin Yu did not answer directly, but calmly said, bring me all the detachable electromagnetic coils from the transport vessel along with those scrapped high-energy battery packs. Also find some rifles. This time no one had any doubts. Everyone immediately set to work their efficient. Soon a pile of what they considered useless electronic junk along with several intact rifles was delivered before Lin Yu. The sole advantage of these old-fashioned powder weapons is their simple structure and rugged durability. As he spoke, Lin Yu picked up a standard Federation rifle, dismantled it into a heap of parts in a flash, and then swiftly reassembled it. Then with a disdainful shake of his head, he tossed it aside. Watch closely. Before the four of them, Lin Yu activated the black industrial machine once more. He fed the salvaged electromagnetic coils, battery pack remnants, and metal parts into the feed port all at once. Then, donning a headset-like neural transmission interface, the knowledge of electromagnetic weapons he had been developing in his past life flashed through his mind, and a crude modification blueprint slowly took shape in his thoughts. The light screen lit up, data streams flashing rapidly. Material purification. Reshaping. Plan generated Gauss weapon modular components. Printing begins. Under the astonished gazes of the four, the industrial machine emitted that azure particle beam once again. Several brand new, intricately structured metal components exuding a brutal aesthetic were printed into shape at a visible speed. These were superconducting coils wrapped with precision copper wire, a few palm-sized high-energy magazines with standard interfaces, and a set of modular structures resembling firearm components. Subsequently, Lin Yu picked up the standard Federation rifle beside him and skillfully dismantled it. Then he took the freshly printed core components and began an assembly that seemed utterly baffling to outsiders. A brand new weapon, rugged in appearance with blue coils wrapped around the barrel, exuding a wasteland punk aesthetic, was born in his hands. It was no longer a powder rifle. It was a Gauss rifle. Thighs. Is it done? Zhang Lei stammered, staring at the bizarrely shaped gun. Lin Yu did not reply. He simply clicked a magazine, filled with fine steel needles, into the rifle. He led the group to the newly sealed hatch gap, where Lei Dazui struggled to pry the door open a crack. Come on, let's test its power. He led them outside the shelter and, aiming at a piece of composite armor plate fallen from a spacecraft in the distance, pulled the trigger. There was no deafening gunshot, no blinding muzzle flash. Only a dull hum of energy gathering. A streak of blue light nearly invisible to the naked eye flashed by. The next second the group stood dumbfounded as a smooth, fist-sized hole silently appeared in the center of the armor plate, which was capable of withstanding conventional shells. The edges of the hole were faintly red from the heat, emitting wisps of smoke. A profound silence fell over the scene. Well, what the hell? Zhang Lei stared at the smooth hole in the distant armor, his mouth agape. Zhao Gang's single eye was wide as a saucer, and the joints of his mechanical arm emitted faint clicking sounds from excessive tension. This power was beyond the realm of a gun. It was a cannon. Material shortage. The superconducting coils and battery materials we found are only enough to make 3, Lin Yu said calmly, checking the gun's temperature. This cold water jolted everyone back from their shock. 3 guns meant only a select few could wield such a devastating weapon. These 3 guns will go to me, Lin Yu and Captain Zhao, 1 each, Lin Yu announced. Lin Yu was a sharpshooter and Zhao Gang was the overall commander. No one objected to this allocation. The weapon issue is temporarily resolved, but we can't stay trapped here forever. Lin Yu's gaze swept over the group. Our food and water supplies are limited. We must actively venture out to explore. He announced the first exploration mission. Objective: map the surrounding kilometer, locate a stable water source, and any potential food sources. Captain Zhao, you'll stay at base to coordinate. Lin Yu, Zhang Lei, you two come with me. Lin Yu's gaze fell upon the burly Lei Dazui. Lei Dazui, you were a Federation combat engineer, right? Yes, sir. Reporting, Lin. Captain Lin. Lei Dazui stood up excitedly, so nervous his address changed. Relax, Lin Yu gestured for him to sit. I need your expertise. During this exploration, you'll assess the geological structural safety of our route. We can't afford to lose anyone to the ground beneath our feet. Mission guaranteed. Lei Dazui thumped his sturdy chest, his face flushed with the thrill of being entrusted with such a crucial task. He had long been in awe of Lin Yu's miraculous skills, and being selected for a core mission was an immense honor in his eyes. Soon an 8-person exploration team was assembled. Lin Yu and Lin Yu wielded the modified Gauss rifles, while the others carried conventional powder rifles as supporting firepower. Move out. At Lin Yu's command, the base's gate slowly opened. 8 piercing beams from the searchlights cut through the darkness outside, and the exploration team marched in unison into the unknown subterranean world. The immense underground cavern they were in was sweltering. The external temperature sensor on their protective suits indicated the ambient temperature hovered around 50 to 60 degrees Celsius year-round. It was not pitch black here. Beneath their feet lay a vast expanse of fluorescent mushroom fields crushed by the transport vessel's crash, which had provided a crucial cushion during the fall. The surviving mushrooms emitted a faint blue-green glow, casting the entire cavern into a surreal, dreamlike fantasy. Some bizarre insect-like small creatures darted swiftly among the giant mushrooms, producing faint rust. This place is too damn creepy, Zhang Lei muttered, gripping his rifle and glancing around nervously. Everyone stay alert, watch your step, and don't touch anything. Lin Yu's voice sounded over the comms. They cautiously advanced about a kilometer in one direction without encountering any immediate danger. Finally reaching the edge of the cavern, they continued along the rock wall and soon discovered a dark sloping cave. The humidity sensor is reacting. There might be water below, Lei Dazui said as the indicator light on his engineering detector suddenly flickered. Let's go. The group filed into the cave. It was long and steep. After nearly half an hour of walking, they felt they had descended at least several hundred meters. The view suddenly opened up. They had entered an even larger underground cavern. The environment had changed. Strange luminous plants grew on the rock walls, no longer mushrooms, but vine-like flora, their countless glowing tendrils hanging down like a starry waterfall. Meanwhile, the external environment monitor on the suit indicated a drop in temperature from 60 degrees to humidity is increasing. Lei Dazui shouted excitedly, looking at his engineering detector. It's just ahead. The group's spirits lifted and they quickened their pace. After trudging several more kilometers, they finally reached the end of the cave. On a massive rock wall, a trickle of water seeped from a crevice, gathering into a clear pool several meters wide below. Water. It's fresh water. Zhang Lei shouted excitedly, about to dash forward. Wait. There's something. Lu Mo, on guard duty, suddenly let out a low growl. The Gauss rifle in his hand had silently aimed at a patch of dark shadow on the flank. Everyone's heart tightened, and they immediately raised their weapons. Searchlight beams swept in unison. In the darkness beside the pool, several crimson figures emerged silently from the rock wall shadows. When the light fell upon them, everyone gasped. They were monsters nearly 2 meters tall, covered in crimson carapace, with 8 limbs as sharp as blades. Their bodies were slender, and what seemed to be heads bore several writhing, disgusting tentacles. Some crawled on the ground like spiders. Others stood upright like humans, supporting themselves with their lowest 2 legs, while the remaining 6 blade-like arms were raised high, glinting with cold metallic sheen. Lin Yu's mind raced, and based on their form, he instantly named them 8-armed mantises. These monsters seemed agitated by the intense searchlight beams, their tentacles writhing wildly as they emitted a series of sharp, piercing screeches. Such a horrifying sight caused Zhang Lei, who was closest to the pool, and several other soldiers to pull their triggers almost instinctively. The dense muzzle flash tore through the cave's silence. Yet the bullets striking the mantis's carapace only sparked and left white marks. Can't penetrate, someone screamed in terror. The monsters were enraged. They moved all 8 limbs, turning into blurry red lightning as they lunged at the group. One of the fastest 8-armed mantises reached Zhang Lei at the front in the blink of an eye, its gleaming blade-like limb about to cleave him and his protective suit in two. Look out! Dodge! Several soldiers behind Zhang Lei shouted in panic. They fired frantically at the monster, but the bullets only sparked off its body, unable to stop it in the slightest. Zhang Lei froze. He watched the deathly cold blade rapidly enlarge in his pupils, his mind blank, forgetting even the instinct to dodge. It's over. I'm going to die. At that critical moment, a dull hum sounded. Lin Yu's Gauss rifle fired. Countless needle-like projectiles traveling faster than sound struck the 8-armed mantis head with pinpoint accuracy. Its hard carapace, which could withstand rifle bullets, was as fragile as paper before the Gauss rounds. The head was instantly pierced, then exploded, spraying crimson fluid. Its massive body, lunging at Zhang Lei, stiffened midair, then crashed to the ground heavily before him, twitched a few times, and lay still. Almost simultaneously, Lu Mo, also wielding a Gauss rifle, pulled the trigger. He pinned another mantis, attempting a flanking maneuver precisely to the rock wall. A gaping hole was blasted in the mantis' chest. One shot, one kill. Instant annihilation. What should have been a brutal, costly skirmish turned into a display of overwhelming force. Holy shit. Zhang Lei stared at the monster corpse at his feet, finally managing 2 words. Don't just stand there. Aim conventional weapons at their joints. Lin Yu's voice rang out again, snapping everyone from their shock. The other team members, recovering from initial fear, were filled with awe and fervor. They immediately ceased ineffective fire on the carapace and began following Lin Yu's instructions, using a dense barrage to suppress the 8-armed mantis's movements, creating optimal firing windows for Lin Yu and Lu Mo. Though unable to inflict fatal wounds, they effectively disrupted the monster's actions, creating perfect shooting opportunities for Lin Yu and Lu Mo. The dull hums became the dirge of death in this underground cave. Each time Lin Yu and Lu Mo fired, another 8-armed mantis fell heavily. Those terrifying monsters, seemingly indestructible to ordinary soldiers, were as fragile as tofu before the hypersonic needle rounds of the Gauss rifles. In less than 5 minutes, the 7 or 8 charging 8-armed mantises were slaughtered, their crimson remains littering the ground. The battle ended. Everyone was panting, but no one was injured. Looking at the monster corpses and the horrific wounds left by the Gauss rifles, everyone's expressions changed. Well, they'll be damned. Zhang Lei stammered as he approached Lin Yu, staring at the modified weapon in his hand, eyes gleaming. This is a gun. It's more powerful than a cannon. His words echoed everyone's thoughts. The looks others gave Lin Yu went beyond mere worship. Lin Yu paid no heed to his exclamation. He walked to the most intact mantis corpse, crouched down, pried open a piece of carapace with his knife, and carefully examined the internal tissue. Lei Dachui, have someone drag 3 complete corpses. The rest of you collect water samples, and some of those glowing plants as specimens. We're heading back. Yes, sir. Everyone immediately set to work, moving swiftly, without any delay. When the survivors remaining at the base saw the 3 grotesque monster corpses the exploration team dragged back, they were all startled. And after hearing Zhang Lei's embellished account of the skirmish, the entire camp's atmosphere was electrified. If building the reactor and restoring the transport ship's power had given them hope of survival, then this slaughter of alien monsters showcased Lin Yu's formidable power. Knowledge is power. The way they looked at Lin Yu now could no longer be described as worship. It was reverence. Reverence for a god. In this despairing alien underground, Lin Yu was the one true god who could save them. The fear of the unknown was utterly shattered by a thorough and exhilarating slaughter. In a cleared area outside the transport vessel, everyone gathered around the 3 massive corpses of the 8-armed mantises, marveling with awe. The terror on their faces had been replaced by excitement and curiosity. Captain Lin, can we eat this? Zhang Lei kicked one of the mantis blade-like limbs and asked a question that weighed on everyone's mind. His words instantly silenced the bustling crowd. For now, after securing their energy supply, food and water were their greatest challenge. But these were alien creatures. Who knew what proteins or toxins they contained? If they were highly poisonous, eating them would be suicide. Lin Yu assigned the task of processing the biological remains and plant samples to the engineer-soldier Lei Dachui. He instructed Lei to lead a team in carefully stripping the mantis's carapaces and storing them in categories. Then he gathered everyone and posed a crucial question. How can we determine whether the mantis meat and that water are harmful to humans? In his past life, Lin Yu was a military engineer, and biology was entirely beyond his expertise. His words left everyone exchanging uneasy glances. For the group, this was an unsolvable puzzle. On the Ark, there were specialized biolaboratories for composition, but here they only had a pile of scrap metal and no analytical instruments. Could they really ask someone to test the poison themselves? Lin Yu looked at the silent crowd and could only say helplessly, seal all samples for now. No one is to touch them. We'll find a way to study them later. The food issue was temporarily set aside, but a thorn had lodged itself in everyone's heart. Lin Yu didn't dwell on the problem. He turned his attention to another vital piece of equipment on the transport vessel, the long-range detection radar. The device had been severely damaged during the crash, its casing cracked open, but after inspecting it, Lin Yu found that its core module seemed to be intact. To survive in this perilous underground world, they couldn't afford to be blind and deaf. If they could repair it, they could scan the surrounding areas for a safer habitat. Are there any signal operators or radar specialists among us? Lin Yu asked the crowd. The survivors exchanged glances until a thin young man was pushed forward from the back. Captain Lin, this is Sun Hao, nicknamed Monkey. He used to be a signal operator in the 3rd city of the Federation. The young man, called Monkey, looked nervous. He adjusted his glasses, which were held together with tape, and said quietly, reporting Captain Lin. I only know basic operations and maintenance. Come with me. Without wasting words, Lin Yu led Monkey directly to the radar equipment. Monkey crouched down, examined it carefully, and finally shook his head with a bitter expression. Captain Lin, it's no good. The damage is too severe. The main control chip is fried and many of the wiring interfaces are standards I've never even seen. There's no way to fix it. He had already given up all hope of repairing the device. However, Lin Yu listened calmly, and then said, the main control chip only has its external interface burned out. The core computing unit is physically isolated and protected. It should be fine. As for those unfamiliar interfaces, they're likely encrypted buses that require reverse compilation logic to connect. Look here, Lin Yu pointed to a scorched circuit board. This board is for signal amplification, but its power supply and signal processing modules are independent. We can bypass the burned power section and run a separate line directly from the main energy source. Lin Yu spoke unhurriedly, precisely identifying several failure points that even Monkey, a professional signal operator, couldn't understand or had never heard of. He then provided clear, absolutely feasible solutions. Monkey started by just listening, but the more he heard, the more astonished his expression became. By the end, the way he looked at Lin Yu had completely changed. It was the look of an underachiever gazing upon a genius, no of a mortal beholding the truth itself. Captain Lin, how do you know so much? Monkey's voice trembled. Remove these boards, Lin Yu ordered. Yes, sir. Despite his lingering doubts, Monkey swiftly fetched tools and carefully dismantled the circuit boards. Lin Yu took the boards and walked directly to the industrial machine tool. He fed the scrapped boards into the input slot and rapidly edited the operation interface. Minutes later, the machine spat out several brand new circuit boards shimmering with a faint glow. Install them. Lin Yu handed the new parts to Monkey. Under Lin Yu's verbal guidance and Monkey's hands-on work, the two began repairing the complex detection array with limited tools. Lin Yu's profound knowledge left Monkey in awe. He felt as if he wasn't repairing equipment, but attending a masterclass that transcended the era. Every instruction, every operation was so precise that it shamed even this professional. Hours later, as Monkey connected the last wire, buzz, the indicator light of the detection array miraculously lit up. The device, once deemed a pile of scrap, had been miraculously restored. We did it. Captain Lin. We succeeded. Monkey nearly jumped with excitement. He rushed to the main console and activated the equipment. Although its detection power was less than 10% of its prime due to the destruction of most antenna arrays, this was already a miracle worthy of being recorded in history. On the screen, chaotic snowflakes filled the display, but at the very center, a green, representing their own position, shone stubbornly. Signal interference is too strong and the damage is too severe. Even though we've partially repaired it, the scanning range is probably only about 50 kilometers now, Monkey reported with some regret. That's enough. Lin Yu's gaze was fixed intently on the screen. Just then, on the screen, an extremely faint, intermittent green dust stubbornly emerged from the snowy interference. Wait, what's that? Monkey quickly adjusted the radio receiver and aimed it in that direction. After a burst of harsh static, a voice, so faint it was barely audible, came through the speaker. Help! Help me! Coordinates. 1744. ZZZ. There are monsters. We're trapped. Help! The signal was intermittent and soon disappeared into the interference. The entire command room fell into dead silence. Lin Yu stared at the blinking green dot on the screen, his eyes growing deep and thoughtful. It seemed they were not the only survivors. In the main control room, a deathly silence reigned. The faint cry for help laced with static from the speakers pierced the nerves of every survivor like a needle. On the screen, the green blip, representing another group of survivors, flickered like a candle in the wind, threatening to extinguish at any moment. People. There really are people alive. Communications Soldier Sun Hao, also known as Monkey, nearly jumped out of his seat in excitement. He pointed at the screen and turned to Lin Yu, his eyes brimming with hope. All eyes converged on Lin Yu. To go or not to go? This young man, who had just established absolute authority, would see every decision he made determine the fate of these 23 individuals. Now perhaps it would also dictate the destiny of the unknown number of compatriots on the other end of the signal. Hell yeah, what's there to think about? We've got to save them. Zhang Lei was the first to break the silence. He slapped his thigh, his voice resounding throughout the cabin. Our numbers are too few now. More hands mean more strength. Who knows, they might have something we need. His words were stirring and quickly garnered many agreements. Yeah, Captain Lin, we can't just leave them to die. They sound really desperate. Since we have the ability, we should lend a hand. However, amidst the chorus, a calm and hoarse voice spoke up. I oppose. It was Zhao Gang who spoke. He emerged from the shadows, his single eye sweeping over each excited face before settling on Lin Yu, unwavering in his gaze. Everyone calm down. Have the mushrooms addled your brains? He chided bluntly. First, the signal is intermittent, the coordinates are vague. We have no idea about their specific situation, how many there are, what equipment they have, or what's trapped them. Second, who's to say this isn't a trap? What if they've been infected by monsters, or if it's another group with ill intentions deliberately luring us in with a distress call? With so few of us, rushing in blindly would be throwing the entire team into a fire pit. Third, and most importantly, Zhao Gang's voice grew heavier. Our base has just been established, defenses are fragile, and our food and ammunition are extremely limited. Committing precious combat power and resources to a rescue mission with an uncertain outcome is too risky. If the rescue team gets into trouble, this hard-won home of ours will be completely lost. Zhao Gang's words were like a bucket of ice water, dousing everyone's fervor. The crowd, which had been so spirited moments ago, suddenly cooled down. They exchanged glances, the excitement on their faces slowly replaced by hesitation and fear. Indeed, Zhao Gang was right. They themselves had survived by a narrow margin. No one knew better how dangerous this world was. What if saving others ended up costing them their own lives? For a moment, the atmosphere in the main control room grew oppressive again. On one side was the humanitarian impulse to rescue, on the other the harsh reality of survival. Lin Yu had remained silent all along. He listened quietly to the debate between Zhang Lei and Zhao Gang, watching the expressions on his subordinates' faces while his mind was racing at an incredible speed. Risk assessment, resource depletion, potential gains, personnel value. Data models were rapidly constructed, simulated, and concluded in his mind. Zhao Gang's concerns from a military commander's perspective sought stability, no mistake. But Lin Yu's vision had long surpassed mere survival. He didn't just want a 20-strong survival squad. He wanted an army, a kingdom. A formidable force that would allow him to fight back to the Ark and dictate his own destiny. And the foundation of all this was people. More technical specialists, more combatants. The most efficient way was to gather all survivors on this planet and turn them into his own power. This distress signal was the first batch of assets delivered right to his doorstep. With that thought, Lin Yu looked up and interrupted the argument. We're going to rescue them. His voice was low but carried an unshakable resolve. Captain Lin. Zhao Gang turned sharply, wanting to speak. Lin Yu raised a hand to stop him. He walked to the radar screen, pointed at the flickering green blip, and swept his gaze across the room. Zhao, your concerns are valid, but your perspective is wrong. We're not faced with a choice between saving or not saving. We're executing a necessary mission of expansion and assimilation. To gain a foothold in this hellish world relying solely on our 20-odd people leaves too little room for error. One accident, one miscalculation, and we could be wiped out. His words plunged everyone into deep thought. We must take the initiative, unite every force we can. We must become the only light in this darkness so that all surviving moths will fly toward us, willingly devoured to become part of us. Lin Yu turned to face his people. His eyes held no pity, only an ice-cold rationality, so this operation isn't a rescue mission. It's a conquest. The main control room fell into absolute silence. Everyone was stunned by the immense ambition and vision behind Lin Yu's words. Zhao Gang stared at Lin Yu, his lips moving. Finally, all the doubt and worry in his single eye transformed into a blazing fervor. I understand. Zhao Gang took a deep breath and nodded firmly to Lin Yu. They'll draft an action plan and no need for complexity. Lin Yu rejected outright. Plans can't keep up with changes. What we need are strong mobility and firepower. He turned to the engineers Lei Daqui and the communications soldier monkey. Lei Daqui monkey. Yes. They stepped forward immediately. I have a task for you too. Lin Yu's gaze fell on the transport ship's structural drawing. Take a team and dismantle all usable power modules and tires from the transport ship. I need you to assemble a simple battery-powered electric reconnaissance vehicle within an hour. Don't worry about aesthetics. Just make it sturdy and fast. Huh. Build a vehicle. Both Lei Daqui and Monkey were dumbfounded. They'll draw the plans, you carry them out. Lin Yu gave them no chance to question. He opened the interface of the portable industrial fabricator and quickly conceptualized a large number of component blueprints. Over the next few hours, the camp turned into a bustling construction site again. The chassis was too large for the portable industrial fabricator to print such big parts, so they cut a complete steel plate from the transport ship to serve as the base. As printed parts were installed one by one, 5 hours later, a hideously ugly electric vehicle, basically a steel plate on 4 wheels brimming with post-apocalyptic punk style, miraculously appeared before everyone. Hell, can this thing actually move? Zhang Lei walked around the Frankenstein machine, his face full of disbelief. Lin Yu jumped into the driver's seat and started the power. A low hum of electricity rose, and the ugly monster steadily rolled forward. Attention, everyone. Lin Yu stopped the vehicle, stood up, and his voice carried across the entire camp. For this operation, I'll lead personally. Lu Mo Zhang Lei Daqui Monkey. The 4 of you are with me. Pick 5 of the most battle-hardened soldiers. Zhao, you'll hold the base. Command the rest. Before I return, reinforce all defenses. No one is to leave the camp without permission. Yes. Everyone roared in unison, the sound echoing through the cave. Under the complex gazes of the others, some expecting, some worried, Lin Yu led 9 team members. They loaded some drinking water and food from the transport ship's stocks and climbed onto the ugly reconnaissance vehicle. With a low motor whine, the vehicle followed the faint blip on the radar and charged without hesitation into the endless darkness.